I'm going to call the January 15th, 2026 O'Fallon City Council Workshop to order. Roll call. Conan.
Mayor Hennessy.
Present.
Councilmember Roth.
Present.
Councilmember Wexler.
Present.
Councilmember Boyer.
Present.
Councilmember Thompson.
Present.
Councilmember Cascella.
Present.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember Kewen.
Present.
Councilmember Cook. Councilmember Ragsdale.
Present.
All right, before we go to the approval of the agenda, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll hear about this in my regular report at the 7:30 meeting, but it's something I wanted to mention especially right now. In 1986, in the month of January, the city of O'Fallon hired one Conan Stott, and he is now at 40 years our longest serving current employee. So thank you, Conan.
Make sure that's in the minutes.
Yeah, I like how you slipped that in there. I was getting ready to take notes.
All right, before we do the approval of the agenda, I would like to have somebody make a motion. I want to remove item E3, which is the review of upcoming Planning and Zoning Commission agenda items. And we're going to move that to the January 22nd workshop and add, after the workshop meeting minutes approval, to add a discussion of the East-West Gateway 2026 funding.
Motion as stated, Cascella.
Second, Wexler.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Do I have a motion second to approve the amended agenda?
Motion, Kewen.
Second, Cascella.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second Cascella. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything on the agenda that you folks want to talk about? Seeing none. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the City Council workshop meeting minutes of December 18th of 2025?
So moved, Kewen.
Second, Cascella.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second by Cascella. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is discussion of the East-West Gateway 2026 funding. Mr. Drebell.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to give you the requests that we received from County Executive Elman. Then I'm going to give you a little background about what it means and what it could mean for O'Fallon, and take any questions from you, and you guys can tell us the direction of where you want to go. The city first received this request via email in December as the county was doing their budget. And there was a long email from the county executive, but I'm just going to read a snippet of it to you, the relevant portion. The county would like to submit only one application to East-West Gateway in February for STP funding. This would be a $15 million plus application for construction of Highway N from Hawk Ridge Trail to Ebert Lane, west of Perry Cape Boulevard. We would ask that the municipalities not make any STP requests so that these funds are guaranteed as our only project submission. Now, what does that mean? There are three forms of funding that come from East-West Gateway. The first is, is TAP funding. That's Transportation and Paths Program. That's not impacted by this. We are actually applying for funding for that this year, as we're going to apply for the Highway N path connection from Highway K to the Cottleville path. So that's not impacted. We're going to go forward with that. The second is called CMAQ, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality. That's actually a funding mechanism we've benefited from a lot over the last couple of years. It helped fund the Crusher Drive roundabout. It's helping to fund the Tom Ginnever North Cool Springs roundabout. And that's really trying to improve air quality and mitigate congestion, just like it says. Now, the largest is what they call the STP program, the Surface Transportation Program. Last year, O'Fallon received about $2.6 million or $2.8 million. That's for the Bryan Road reconstruction from White Magnolia south to Feisey, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but close. $1.6 million for Mexico Road resurfacing. We generally receive about $2 to $3 million a year. That's the funding that we're talking about. So for 2026, what were we thinking we were going to do that we would be postponing with this, or taking off the table with this? We had two projects that we were looking at. The first is, I'm going to be completely honest, one that we've submitted twice and it didn't get approved and it probably wouldn't get approved again, and that's West Terra resurfacing. We've applied for that 2 years in a row, $1 million each year. It didn't pass and it probably wouldn't have this year, but we would have applied for it. So that it's affected, but in honesty, it's probably not. The bigger one is the reconstruction of Bryan Road and VMP from the MoDOT end at the bridge over I-70 down through the Justice Center, intersection and everything. So we have been working on that application for quite a while with the county, and they've been very supportive of this project, and they remain very supportive of this project. And actually, one of the things we were shooting for with this originally was to go for CMAQ funding for this, the congestion mitigation and air quality. We started to put the application together. We actually hired, with the county's help on the funding, Lockmuller to help us put the application together. Recently, one of our project managers, Paul Talamanchik, met with East West Gateway. In that meeting, they said that, hey, you've got a really great application and we really like this, but not all of it's going to qualify for CMAQ. We recommend you look at STP funding. So that kind of put us back to the drawing board a little bit. The project is a $5.5 million project estimate. That's design, right-of-way, and construction. CMAQ, the portion that is available to CMAQ funding, which if we can go forward with regardless of what happens with the other stuff, is $2.6 million. So you're looking at about half the total cost of the project that we could go forward with CMAQ funding. If we could go for STP funding, the potential funding is $4.4 million. So you're looking at probably about a $1.5 to $2 million gap that we would have to fund if we don't go forward with the STP funding. Obviously, the county has been tremendously supportive of this project that we want to do. They're partnering with us on it. We want to be supportive of them as much as we can, but there is a direct impact on the city if we agree to go forward with the county executive's request. We would be reaching out. We've already started to reach out to the county to say, hey, here's what the difference is going to be. We're going to have to work with you to help fill that gap over the next couple of years, because you guys know what a $2 million hit on our budget would be as far as street and road improvement. And we all know how badly that stretch of Bryan Road needs to be repaired. I see Ms. Cook shaking her head very much so over there. So that's what the situation is. The request would be that we do not apply for any STP funds. We would then go forward with a CMAQ application this year for 2026 for the $2.6 million approximately of that project. We would begin the project, in theory, 2027. It's East-West Gateway funding, so it's about a 4-year process anyway. So in best case scenario, we're probably not starting construction until 2029 or 2030 at best case. If we decided to wait a year and try to go for STP next year, now you're looking into 2031 and beyond. So that's what we have, and I guess we're looking, Mayor, for direction from you guys. Is that correct?
Michael?
If you said it, I blacked out. Why does Mr. Ellman want us to not put in applications for next year?
Oh, this is actually not unprecedented. They are looking to do the extension of Highway N, as I said, from Hawk Ridge down to Ebert Lane. In 2011, they actually took the same approach for the extension of 364 to the end of where it is now. And at that time, all the cities forewent their application, and county put a big application in just for one for St. Charles County. That's what they're looking to do here, $15.5 million application just for the extension of Highway N to Ebert.
Michael?
Earlier today, the mayor and I were at a meeting with all of the mayors and city administrators from around the county, and all of the cities said that they would be willing to do this once if everybody else said yes also. So everybody's kind of looking at each other. Will you say yes or will you say no? Which is what's prompting this discussion tonight, even though we've known about this for a little while. This really came to a head today.
And Mr. Ellman also said if we all put it in, I believe he said it was like 33% of all the funding from MoDOT to get this money. So, I'm gonna agree with the rest of the mayors that, I'm all right with doing this because Highway N does need to be improved. But again, if this one or two of the cities says no, then we don't. And the problem while we're discussing this right now is the applications are due on February 6th? February 6th. So we kind of need direction from this council of, do we go forward with this if all the cities say yes? And we don't go forward if one of the cities says no? Mr. Cascella.
Is there a chance we could have our draft for our city's request if it comes down to the wire and the other city administrators and mayors have not come to a decision to compile all of our resources? Can we still have one where we can slip it in there February 6th?
I don't,
We are compiling it essentially anyway because we will need to be doing it for CMAQ. So I'm sure there are some slight differences between the two applications, but yes, I would think we would be prepared to submit either one if the plane blew up at the last second, frankly.
I think that's a good plan to partner with everybody, get this thing done, and have a fallback plan for ourselves if one were to back out and we don't get to combine the resources like that.
and I know we can't do it, but I would like to have a guarantee from the county that we get the STP funds for the Bryan 70 and 27.
Well, and I'm going to ask Wade to correct me if I'm wrong when I say this. I believe if we apply for CMAQ funds and get them this year, we would not be eligible for STP funds at a future year to fill the gap. We need to get that funding from the county. Is that correct, Wade, to fill the gap if we don't get it from this year's application?
I think that would be the thought. We would go to the county and seek funds for the portion we're not able to go.
From the county road board,
From County Road Road?
Yes.
Yeah.
as long as they can give us that. And I think Wade, or, you guys can talk with Amanda and see, say, yeah, we can do this, but we're gonna need some help with the Bryan 70 interchange.
We certainly will. I think we've already had some of those conversations. So, as Councilman Costello said, Highway N is very busy. It's backed up. This serves our residents more than St. Peter's or St. Charles residents. So certainly if they're willing to do this, I think we should be willing to do this as well.
Okay. Ms. Taylor?
So I just want to be clear on all of it. The Highway N project is to widen, is that what widen out there?
Yes, it's widened. I believe it's a 4-lane divided from, what was it, Hawk Ridge to Eber Lane.
Basically, it's gonna be maybe like 364 Phase 3.
Yeah.
And then the Bryan Road project would be just to
Reconstruct the intersection at Bryan and VMP, widen it, replace all those damaged slabs through that stretch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I agree that Highway N, we have huge problems. My sister, lives in Wingate, and she talks about being stuck in the traffic out there, trying to get to work for an hour or so. It really needs to be done. I do have reservations about Bryan, not going ahead with that grant. I live right there and affected by it. But it just got me thinking, especially, we're talking about this sports complex thing tonight, right? And that's, that's going to affect it a lot, right? If we don't get that traffic and all that done out there, that I just can't see, I just see that being a huge problem. But I'm for the N, though. I think that's what needs to be done, like ASAP, so.
Brian?
So we're not saying we're doing one or the other. We're doing both of the projects. If we go with everyone, we're doing the 15 million, then we're going to chase money for the Bryan Road.
Right.
Which one had the 4-year thing?
So any funding we get from East-West Gateway, it's a 4-year process. The first year's design, the next 2 years are right-of-way purchasing, and the next year's construction.
And that's in.
That's both of these.
Oh, so
all
both of
these
these-
projects.
okay, and
'Cause they're
these-
coming from the same funding source.
Perfect. All right, I did not understand that part.
And again, I just want to stress, we are going to go for funding for Bryan Road and VMP regardless. It's just a question of how much we're going for. The 2.6 versus the 4.4 is the difference.
So then neither one of these projects would be done in 4 years?
That's
Okay.
give or take, yeah. I mean, they'd be starting in 4 years, really. The construction would be.
Michael?
If I could interrupt, I'm sorry, Tom doesn't know this, but today Amanda Brower from the county and Mr. Ellman pretty much told us that if this happens Highway N, they expect to do a design build and have dirt moving in mid-27. So it would be an accelerated process. So what you said is accurate for any other project. This particular project at Highway N, they expect in the next 18 months to be moving dirt.
Sounds like an interesting precedent that we might be able to look at in the future.
Correct.
Ms. Cook?
Thank you, Mayor. Bryan Road is in horrible shape. To drive over it, it's horrible. So in the meantime, to get it, because it's going to have to be resurfaced or something's going to have to be done to it to get us through for the next 3-4 years. Do we have that on our radar at all, as far as at least slab work or something?
Definitely slab work and continuing to patch and stuff, but nothing to the level of resurfacing, no. But definitely, keeping it. We basically do our best to keep it going until then, but we're not looking at any sort of resurfacing or anything in that time.
Okay, maybe we should at least get it on a schedule for maybe some slab work or something this summer if we can, because it has really gotten bad. My son busted 2 tires in that area last year. So when you get off the highway, when you're trying to dodge, it's dangerous. So I'd like to see something be done for slab work or something.
That's a conversation we can certainly have.
Anybody else? Direction. You know what my thoughts are. Mr. Kuhn?
I mean, the Bryan Road and Veterans Memorial, that affects my ward pretty heavily. But I recognize that Highway N is, at this point, where all the growth is going, and it needs to happen. So I say move forward.
Ms. Thompson? I'm good with moving forward. Mr. Boyer? Cook?
Yeah, I say move forward. Like you said, if all the cities agree, we go with the rest of the cities. But if there's a city that says no, then we pull away.
I'm not going to count West Dalton in that, but. Linda?
No, I agree.
Ms. Taylor?
Yeah, like I said, I'm for it, so I agree.
Mr. Roth?
Yeah, I'm good with it. Let's get it done.
Mr. Wexler?
Yeah, move forward. Yep.
You know I'm for this.
I figured you would be.
Ward 3 appreciates all of you.
There you go, sir.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Next is a presentation of use of economic development incentives. Mr. McKeon. I'm going to take a nap here.
You'll probably be joined by 4 or 5 others by the time I get done. As you all hopefully know, I'm Patrick McKeon, Economic Development Director for the great city of O'Fallon. And I always, at least 2, 3, 4 times a year, get the pleasure of being in front of you to talk about something that I can be very passionate about, and it's economic development. And I think that I have done something similar in years past, but a number of the faces here in front of me have changed over the last couple of years, and we really haven't talked much about economic development incentives as a whole and the tools that are available to us to be able to use. And so I suggested recently that given the fact that I truly believe 2026 is going to be a heck of a year for economic development in this city. We have a number of projects we've been working on for quite a while that I think have a chance of coming to fruition in the coming year. And so having this discussion with you, sharing the information that we have about how these tools work, I think is important, and continue that discussion as we move forward through the year. So with that, I would tell you all to buckle in. This is probably one of the longest presentations I've done. So within the next 2 hours, I hope to cover a lot of ground here. If you need to take a potty break, go right ahead. I won't be offended by that at all. At the same time, yes, thank you, Mayor. I will not read these slides to you. I want to go quick. I want to be efficient with my time. For 2 reasons. You know, I just hate it when people read every single slide to me, and 2, I don't read good. So I will kind of summarize, but if you have a question or if you have something you want to talk about, please go ahead and stop me. I'm happy to try to address that. So here we go. Really, this is about sharing with you tonight information about making fact-based decisions about O'Fallon's immediate business development opportunities, we just talked about, and its long-term economic future. Here's kind of an outline of my presentation tonight. Talk about what is these incentives, kind of our prime directive or guiding principles, looking at these particular tools, kind of showing you, I think, a very good example of how these things work together and why they're needed, and then any conversation afterward. Economic development incentives are targeted financial tools, regulatory tools that attract investment, job creation, revitalize underutilized areas with aligning with a clear, defined goal. I mean, very, very simple. We're about jobs, investment, and creating new, good, smart development in our community. So what is the prime directive? As you know, that's a Star Trek term, and it's one of my first times I've been able to use it in a presentation like this. Really, it's about our charge as an organization to sustain the O'Fallon's balanced economy. We've talked about balanced economy multiple times here. You know, you have the power, you have the authority to make our economy work in the decisions you make and create wealth for your residents and a high quality of life. And we do this by focusing on job generators. We want to create good, family-supporting jobs in our community that pay wages, that allow people to go out and use that money to buy things in our community that then support the services we offer and improve their lives. We've got to have jobs in our community. We've got to have a strong commercial and retail sector. That's the transfer of those jobs and wages that are created into our community, pass through our retailers and our commercial businesses, ultimately end up in sales tax dollars that we as a city utilize to provide the services they demand and need. It's very simple, a very simple equation. And finally, we have to have the residential developments and the institutions in our community that ultimately create the quality of life that is so important. This is why we are an award-winning city. This is the reason why people want to live in O'Fallon, because we have done a very good job as a community in creating this balanced economy. It's about providing a diverse tax base, producing stable tax revenues that provide a community with the ability to serve the needs of our residents and ensure economic resilience. Now, I have to give you some warning here. The truth of the matter fact is that this is not the same O'Fallon from the late 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2010s. Everybody was wanting to be here. Economic growth was happening. It was my first experience with an economic developer from O'Fallon. He said, basically, all I do is write press releases about all the great things coming here to O'Fallon. I wish I was doing that too, but we actually have to work hard because we are in a hyper-competitive economic marketplace. We are competing not only against the cities to our east and to our west, in the next county, in the state, in the other state on the other side of the river. We're competing in a global marketplace. VSM is a German-owned company, and they invest in our community because we make it right for them. They could put that investment anywhere else in the world. MEMC is another good example of that. I believe that this balanced economy approach is truly O'Fallon's winning formula. Now, how do we do this? We operate under what I consider guiding principles. When we approach an economic development project, an inquiry, someone wanting to do something here in our community, we look at creating a win-win-win outcome. A win for the city and the taxing districts, a win for that developer or business owner, and finally a win for our residents. It has to be a triple win or we're out. We have to put in strong safeguards. Every time we talk to these businesses about these deals, we have to focus on transparency, accountability, and we dictate the terms that they benefit from. And then on the backside, we have significant reporting requirements to make sure that they're doing what they said they would do. Public incentives equal public investment. There's somehow this belief that we're putting dollars in the pockets of those business owners and those wealthy people, right? By state law, any public dollar passed through to them, public dollar has to go into a public investment. It has to be public infrastructure. It has to be public, improvements. So we're not subsidizing private profit. We're investing in public outcomes. And that is clearly stated by state law. And finally, it's important for us to invest in big things to create lots of little good things happen. We could spread whatever dollars we might and limited resources we might have on a whole bunch of little businesses. But as you well know, if you create, let's say, for example, a mall, all the businesses that are around it that are created, you create a large shopping center and think about all the contractors, suppliers, small businesses that benefit from that business happening in your community. You throw one big stone in the pond of our economy and the ripples spread out across the community. And that's the guiding principles we operate out under when we talk about economic development incentives. So let's look at these tools briefly. What is exactly in O'Fallon's toolbox? Now, the state of Missouri, which I actually worked for 8 years myself when I first got into economic development, I always thought had a very conservative, show-me approach to incentives. It was never about upfront money. It was never about gifting or putting monies into developer pockets. It's about you go out and do good works and we will reward that. You go out and create commercial retail businesses and you have the opportunity to earn a sales tax piece of that can help recover your costs for public improvements. You go out and create $100 million in new capital investment and create 80 brand new jobs, such as Aldi is doing now, and we'll give you a tax break of 50% on your real property taxes. It's not upfront monies. It's all about you prove what you've done, and you will receive the reward that we feel is justified by your actions. I'm going to step off on my soapbox just one moment. The economic development incentives we are going to be talking about here were created by the state of Missouri decades ago. And I happened to be there when it happened, because I am that old. They are time-tested, they're court-approved tools, specifically designed to help communities grow. Not to help the businesses, but the communities grow, survive, and thrive. Any of these programs, as they went through those early trial periods, they revealed their strengths and their limitations. There were people testing the limits. There were examples of potential, I will say, abuse, but just, people push the limits. But over the past 20 years, your state government your local governments have worked very hard to strengthen the safeguards and build around the greater accountability and transparency in these programs, and they work. There are some, that want to point out the failures, want to point out the question marks of these kind of incentive tools. And those communities, they do exist, and it is right to scrutinize them. They are not O'Fallon. You have at your disposal a team with over 150 years of experience and expertise between Kevin, Vicki, Alexis, Mark Grimm, our bond counsel, and myself, who is working very hard to make sure these programs work for you and for your residents. And so, I take it a little personal when someone gets up here and wants to, say things about our character or our veracity or what we find is important, because we have done this for so long and we know how this works and we can make this right. So off my soapbox. Sorry about that.
Don't forget about Patty.
Oh yeah. And just and then you've got a 25-year-old, or not 25-year-old, 25-year vet who's doing great work working with those small businesses. So, get back to my present. The three basic categories they fall into: property taxes, special taxing districts, and cooperation agreements. And let's talk a little bit about each. Property tax abatements. Now, let me just say, people will throw out TIF and Chapter 353. As you can see from my PowerPoint presentation, they are marked out in red, and that's because we do not do them here. I agree with groups like the Show Me Institutes and others who criticize these tools as the declaration of blight and the ability to take people's property and everything else. We don't do it here. It requires a declaration of blight, and that is not O'Fallon. What we do have available to us, and we have a program that has done tremendously good work, not only in O'Fallon, but across the state of Missouri. It's called Chapter 100 Revenue Bonds. And there's a little bit of an explanation here as to how these things work. I will tell you what they do is we use our bonding authority to bond fixed assets, land, building, equipment. Because we're using our bonding authority, we're able to take temporary title to those assets. We lease it back to the company. The bond documents are about this thick, and in terms of the details and the requirements and everything and the reporting and all that comes with it. Because the city temporarily owns it, we afford them our tax-exempt abilities, and that those assets then come off the tax books, and then we charge them a pilot payment or payment in lieu of taxes to recover a portion of those property taxes. I will also say that one of the greatest benefits of this program is the state made the decision to allow these things under Chapter 100 to receive a sales tax exemptions on construction materials. Again, putting the public dollars, state sales tax dollars, into fixed assets. We have a lot of requirements. And we just talked about all those things that we go through, and those documents that go through review through Kevin and our bond counsel and Alexis and everything else, and all the things that we ask of these companies to do, and to put up a lot of money to make this program actually work. So this is a fancy chart I created. I'm not really good at charts, so I'm very proud of this one. This shows you how this bond deals work. If you look at the very beginning, I think if you look at it, it's on your left, you see a 0. Every year prior to that particular piece of property or assets as being comes under Chapter 100, taxing districts, including the cities, school district, fire, everybody gets $0. Because we work with that company to induce them to make the investment in our community, and we apply the Chapter 100 program immediately through our standard Chapter 100 policy. The emergency services get 100% of the property taxes on those assets. That is their right. That's what they ask for. That's what we give them. All the other taxing districts, as you can see there on the other side, I'm not really good left and right, so you'll have to forgive me on that. Those taxing districts receive 50% from the very first year. At the end of the term of the agreement, if it's in this case 10 years, those taxes jump to 100%. Now, who is the biggest player in that other taxing districts? It's the school district. What are we doing in regards to this kind of investment on a school district? When MEMC invested in a 60,000 square foot building and up to $300 million total in new equipment they did not create one new school child going to the school district. Now, do those employees potentially move into the community that are new jobs and maybe want to live in O'Fallon and maybe they have a child or two that takes advantage? Yes, but they're paying property taxes on their home. We're not creating any additional burden on the library district or the development disabilities or the state. So what we do in terms of Chapter 100 is we are creating net new tax revenues, property tax revenues for every one of those taxing districts, and then at some point in time, they're all getting fully paid. This only takes into account that initial investment. We had one of our Chapter 100 projects that actually, before they opened their doors on the Chapter 100 building that we helped them build, they were already planning the expansion and doubling in size, which was at 100%. Here is a visual of the companies that we've actually assisted with this. These are the things that you, as the city council, have created within our community. Let me tell you a couple of stories about a couple of these projects here. Dynaflex, and I can use my little fancy pointer, hopefully. Oop, is that right? Oh, there we go. I see it. Dynaflex, right here. Headquarters, research center, production, warehouse, moved to O'Fallon. The piece of property they moved on, I think, was a cornfield, 10 acres. It was paying $103.44 in property taxes. Dynaflex paid $89,090 in December in property taxes based upon our Chapter 100 deal with them. Went from zero 6 years ago to almost $90,000 and will double in size when that Chapter 100 ends. Cosmos Corporation, a beautiful building right there in the lower corner. Well, gee whiz, I'm not really good at it. They're right there. Cosmos Corporation was a bean field out in front of MEMC, $26 million Chapter 100 for headquarters, production facilities, warehouse, headquarters for their foundation, hired almost 200 people, paid MEMC owned that land and paid $146 in property taxes on that land prior to its development. Cosmos paid $295,000 in property taxes this past year. Source One Solution, one of our brand new companies, a site that was this close to becoming a multifamily apartment complex. And you as a council made the decision to reject that project and want to have something in high tech and gave our team a charge of get something done. Within 3 months, Source One Solutions came in. They have built their new $5 million headquarters in Assembly. It's zoned high tech. It remains high tech. They paid that property because it was assessed as commercial, paid $15,248 in property taxes in 2022. Their estimated tax liability in the coming year will be $55,000. And finally, MasterCard, their global operations center, one of only 8 in the whole world, with 5,000 plus employees. They held their groundbreaking in 1999, and help me out, but I think it was a chicken farm, something like that, right? That's why it's Wing Haven, chicken wings, Wing Haven, right? They paid $1.297 million because they have ended their Chapter 100 deal. they paid $1.297 million in real property taxes and an additional $4.4 million in personal property taxes because of the wise decision made back in 1999 to help this company come to our community. In total, we have, and by my estimate, on the back of an envelope estimate, we have created more than 7,000 jobs and more than $1 billion in new capital investment through this particular program. Community improvement districts. Again, a little bit of an explanation as to what it is. We get petitioned, we set the terms, we set the benefit amounts, we create the standards, what they have to comply to in terms of reporting and management and everything else. They establish the funds. But the point that I want to emphasize to you is, again, we are creating a means for them, once they show me, once they create the commercial and retail activity that is promised, they can start collecting up to 1% sales tax on that retail activity that allows them to reimburse themselves for public improvements, whether that's streets improvements, sidewalks, lighting, parking lots, utilities under the ground. Just think about this. As your employer, if you make investments, you want return on those investments. All these public improvements, they don't produce revenue. When that company is asked to put in a new street using CID dollars as a reimbursement for that expense, they're not going to make money on that street. They're not going to make money on that sidewalk. And yet we are asking them to make millions of dollars in investments in public infrastructure and saying, oh, and you'll get paid 20 years down the road. Not the best and wisest, but it gets things done, right? TDDs are almost the same. The only thing, a difference with a TDD, instead of petitioning you for the creation of a CID, it goes through a court-approved process. But again, it's public dollars for public improvements. I have provided you, well, no, actually, Alexis provided you a map of our active CID and TDD districts here in the city of O'Fallon. If there's one that kind of stands out, it's the Wing Haven TDD. It was created 25 years ago or so. It was for a 1,200-acre master plan mixed-use development. It's kind of an outlier. And as you well know, if you've been in Wing Haven, the vast majority of it is residential. It's not revenue tax, sales tax revenue generating. It's, so it's very limited. But if you take the Wing Haven TDD out of that, what you end up with is a total land mass of 3/8 of a square mile. To put that in context, O'Fallon is 31 square miles. So what is actually covered within these active districts of TDD and TDD is tiny. It's not like we're creating wide swaths of land. These are small little, very tight little areas that are really based around commercial retail activity, because that's where the benefit comes from. There's no value in putting a manufacturing facility in a TDD or a CID. There's no value in putting residential into a TDD or a CDD. It has to be retail. And as we said about our balanced economy, we need retail dollars to provide the services that our citizens need and want. The next area is cooperation agreements. These are used very limited. It's basically an allowance by the state for cities to be able to share a portion of their net new being dollars generated from new economic activity that hasn't already occurred, and providing that for a limited amount of time back to that private developer to really address issues of extraordinary cost. The deal, it's tight. It was said to me just this week by a developer, we have analyzed our development cost. We've looked at the land cost, site development, all these issues that constitute what it takes to get this project done, and we have looked at our end users and what they're willing to pay. And there is a delta of a difference. There is a shortage in what they expect to get in revenues to what they're going to have to pay to make this project happen. And then it becomes a request to say, please consider the idea of allowing us to collect over a long period of time the dollars necessary to fill that gap. And cooperation agreements is just one more tool that enables us to do that. We've only used it twice. Two, I think, highly successful projects that had tremendous barriers for development, had a lot of, we're talking about Missouri Rush going into Caledonia area where an empty theater or a theater had sat by itself for, 20 years. And look at it now. Look at all the activity that, because of your decision to help support it through a cooperation agreement, all the activity that's now happening around that. And that was the spur for getting Streets of Caledonia, a 260-acre mixed-use development that you demanded retain at least 100 acres of that for commercial development. And so we are pushing very hard to create that commercial development as part of that larger project, because everybody who lives there, everybody who lives in that city, we need that commercial development to create those tax dollars that will allow us to continue to provide snow removal, trash removal, public safety. You go on down the line. So we've touched on this a little bit, but what is actually driving the need for these incentives? As I said earlier, in the conversation I just had, we are asking developers and business decision makers to look at our community, to want to be here. And they're also looking at 100 other variables in that process. They're all smart business people. I'm looking at land acquisition costs, site prep and infrastructure needs. I'm looking at road improvements that maybe the city says, hey, you need to add a turn lane, you need to add signalization to get this project, to get approval from us as a city. You're going to have to spend another $500,000, $2 million as part of this overall development. They've got supply chain challenges. They've got higher than normal interest rates. They've got competitive markets. And they've got an end user or multiple end users that are only going to pay so much in rent. And so when you add all those factors together, it's going to come down to, where do the dollars in my hand do I want to invest them? And if my costs are so high to do that in O'Fallon, I'm just going 5 miles down the street into another community that it's a better deal. I'm going across the river. I'm going into a different county. I could be a business owner with $100 in my checking account, or I could be a business owner with $1 billion in my bank account. To ask me to make an investment in your community where I'm going to lose money, why? We've got to find ways to work with these in this hyper-competitive marketplace to make these deals work. So, I'm headed into the final round third base here. I appreciate your patience. I'm going to tell you a story, which I think is a perfect example of how all this works. 5 years ago, this council made the decision to put on our strategic plan sports tourism and listed it as a high priority. The city actually issued an RFP not too long after that to try to turf the fields at Ozzie Smith and Westhoff, and with the intent that we want to draw more sports-related activities into our communities. We want to be a part of that $30 to $40 billion annual industry and be a greater player in that. At the same time, St. Charles County's Convention and Sports Facility Authority commissioned a study of all the assets sports-related in our community and the opportunities that come with it. And ultimately, they made a decision to issue an RFP seeking to develop a sports tourism complex of 75 acres or more with full commercial development activity. We didn't have anything, we didn't have land to even do anything like that. And then we were approached by a developer who has invested millions of dollars in our community and owns 3 assets that rely upon customers coming in the door every day. And he said, I want to make an investment in the community. I want to do something that's going to drive sports tourism. Because I want to be able to build a hotel or 2 and be able to put people in that hotel. And so we started down a path with this individual. We suggested to him the possibility of, hey, here's some land, 20 acres, near the highway. In my time here, every prospect that we've had on that land wanted multifamily residential on it. And we have resisted doing that because we wanted commercial activity. We wanted things to drive people to O'Fallon to spend money. He immediately went out and purchased that land. And he bought some additional land to be able to put a hotel on it. And then this council in 2024 actually created a sports tourism zoning overlay district that allowed us to now be where we are today with the O'Fallon Playfield Commons project. So what is it? It's a $120 million capital investment with all of these things that are going to draw people into our community. 3 hotels, a freestanding retail space, outdoor event space with a food truck park. I don't know how many times we need a Frankie Martin here in O'Fallon. I've never been to Frankie Martin, but I know what they mean. They want a community gathering space. They want a place where they can go and enjoy themselves, right? This project has that. It has additional retail space that can create more, service those businesses and the needs of people who visit this space. So why does it need incentives then, right? This guy can afford it. Well, as we talked earlier, there's significant development costs that comes with this. Banks are willing to finance a hotel or a retail space. It's challenging to find someone to spend money on a sports complex. Those things, they can be at best a kind of a break-even proposition. We're asking an individual to spend tens of millions of dollars in our community of their own money that they could probably, and it's a shame to say, they could take that tens of millions of dollars and putting in a money market account and earn 5% and make more money than they will on this deal. But that's how dedicated this individual is to making O'Fallon great. And so we have structured over the last year an incentive package that we believe meets all our criteria for economic development. We're offering a community improvement district, reimburse public improvements that are going to be required in this project. He is creating a second hotel site. Again, we're asking for public improvements through the dollars that they will earn over that time frame. A transportation development district. I heard conversation a little earlier about Bryan Road. This individual is going to be making a major investment there, and we can provide to him in this development project a way to reimburse for required road improvements that will provide some of those upgrades. If any of you have ever tried to come out of the Justice Center at 3 in the afternoon, you've taken your life in your own hands. This will ultimately end up in having, through the TDD, signalization at that intersection that will save lives and improve traffic flow. We're going to provide Chapter 100 bonds on things that create no additional burden on those additional taxing districts, and at the same time pay off at 100% the emergency services. And finally, a cooperation agreement. We win, he wins, our residents win. It's a win-win-win combination, and we net out a win when they can create hundreds of thousands of dollars in new sales tax revenues, and we can share some of that for a limited amount of time. This does not in any way calculate all the additional benefits that are going to roll into our community. The people that go outside this district to the Dairy Queen or the Dutch Bros or the Starbucks or the Quick Trip, or they go farther down and go to Irish Gypsy for lunch. All the other benefits of these, and I will just say the words, they're estimating 500,000 potential users in a year. Let me put that in context for you. We as a community import 25,000 workers every day during the workday. 125,000 individuals come to our community a week. They're talking about possibly 10,000 a weekend. We have the capacity to support this. So, but 500,000 people coming to our community and spending their money in O'Fallon is going to be a tremendous benefit to all of us. So what does O'Fallon get in return? We finally achieved the strategic planning goal that we have had for 5 years. We are going to be given weekly no-cost access and use of from our Parks and Recreation staff of this facility. We're going to get 3 new hotels where we've gone literally a decade without a new hotel while every community around us has had multiple hotel projects. We're going to generate significant new demand for the restaurants and retailers throughout our community because they're going to be spending time in O'Fallon instead of Chesterfield, Wentzville, what's that place in Indiana? Westfield, Indiana. I mean, it's how many? I know Steve does. How many have kids who does traveling sports? Lisa, Brian, you've spent your money dollars elsewhere. We want you to spend them in our community. We are going to utilize a 20-acre site that Councilwoman Cook has held out forever to keep it commercial and make it commercial. And we're going to generate an estimated net new $15 million in sales, property tax, and transit guest tax, along with $8 to $10 million of additional sales tax revenues. Is this package, is this project meet and align with our prime directive? Yes. Does this package follow our guidelines and principles? Yes. Does this incentive package help that developer, give him the best chance to overcome all those development barriers and financial challenges and the ultimate decision he has to make to invest his tens of millions of dollars in our community? I am very confident that it will. And with that, I'm ready for your questions and comments and discussion.
Ms. Lisa.
I have a quick question about the weekly use of the facility
Yes.
for the city.
Oh, yeah.
What does that look like?
We have, Tom Drabell helped negotiate a deal that will allow us, I believe, a minimum 5 hours a week for us to be able to schedule leagues, activities in that space. And I say a minimum. I believe that we can work easily with this developer if we need more time, but we will actually be able to get in and use that for our public to be able to use that indoor, basketball courts, volleyball courts, pickleball courts, turf fields, the whole mix.
Okay, that's great, because I know sometimes the open gyms and things at the Renaud Center get filled up really quickly with other things, and folks can't go to the gym. So
as we've been working on this for this past year, someone came up with that idea, and Tom, like I said, I think did a great job in organizing that for us and reserving that.
great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Kuhn.
Thank you. First and foremost, Patrick, thank you. I had high expectations, and you've exceeded them. That was a great presentation. I've gotten an awful lot of questions about this item recently, so I was happy to see this. I just want to reiterate two things that you already said. One, the money that's coming out of the city and going toward this literally money that we're paying to them is $0, correct? We're not paying them money.
There's nothing up front, Councilman. We are a show-me approach. You create $300,000-$400,000 in new sales tax revenues, and we'll share a portion of that back with you to help make sure this project is a success.
Right. So we're going from $18 a year to collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Correct.
In additional taxes.
Correct.
And the second part I want to clarify, because I've had a lot of questions about this too, is the TDD and the CID district, that's the only places you pay those additional sales tax. If you go across the street to Starbucks, you're not paying it.
Correct.
So if you object to paying an extra 1 cent TDD tax, you don't shop in those particular restaurants, you don't pay it.
You're exactly right. And I appreciate you saying that, because I should have brought that up.
Well, you
A
can't.
1% tax, if I spend $100 on a family of four meal, I'm paying $1 extra in a TDD or CID. I probably spent that at Quick Trip on my Big Gulp or whatever they have there, the big Q, on the way to that meal. It's like, what, $1.59 now? I don't even think about it. The great thing about this project is that the vast majority of people who will be there, spending money there, spending time in the hotels, are not O'Fallon residents. Right. They will be individuals who are visiting our community, and instead of spending their dollars in all these other athletic destinations, they'll be actually spending it here. And so, as in any of our active CID maps and everything else, if you have a real objection at spending an extra 5 cents on that $5 item from Hobby Lobby because it's a CID, then you're more than welcome to go down the street and shop at Target or some Michael's, somewhere else. I mean, it's so minimal an amount. I don't think people even realize it happens. But what are we getting from that 5 cents? Public improvements. Mm-hmm. And that's the key.
Well, and I lied. I do have one more
yes, sir.
Clarification to offer, and really this is more for the folks at home. Let's say we pass the CID and the TDD, and everything goes forward, and then the developer says, you know what, change my mind, I'm out of here. Those TDDs and CIDs go away.
Yes, they go away. The public improvements that they may have paid for stay.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I didn't even realize that part. That's
so,
great.
So, if your project only lasts 3 years, and you walk away, you can't take your roads or sidewalks
That's
with
a good
you.
Point.
So, finders keepers at that point. City benefits, they're paid for because the developer had to pay for them. We're not on the hook for that, and then we move on.
All right, great.
And we find a great backfill for that space.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Mr. Boyer?
So for this to be successful, they need to have relationships with like leagues and other things out there. Who's on the hook for that? Is that a collaboration between the city and the developer, or is it on him?
It is the developer. They are working with a couple of professional sports facility management groups that are looking at coming in and operating that. I know one of them has a number of connections with sports activities and leagues that go on in this region. Councilman, I've received 4 or 5, every time we have something publicly about this, I receive a call from another group seeking, hey, can you put me in connection with this? I've got an event that I hold in February, and we bring in 2,000 people. I'd love to do it in O'Fallon. And so, I'm collecting those up. So I'm pretty confident that they're going to have a lot of interest and a lot of connections. Missouri Rush is a perfect example that they're always looking for space to do indoor training and futsal leagues. And so I'm sure they'll be one of the first at the door.
Yeah, having everything, as a parent that goes to travel, having the hotel there and food there all at the same place, that's
yeah. This has been a smart development in terms of those things.
Okay. Ms. Taylor?
have a bunch of little notes here.
I'm glad to hear that.
First, I don't know much about this developer. I mean, we're new here and stuff. And you said
Yeah.
he owned 3 assets?
Yes.
In O'Fallon?
He owns Dogwood Social, he owns Staybridge Suites, and he owns the Holiday Inn Express.
And has he built any of those? Because I know Dogwood used to be.
He purchased those buildings. He totally, the Dogwood Social was a Gold's Gym originally, so he made that purchase on his own and did all the renovation work in that. He is in the process of building a major project down in South County, St. Louis County. He has done projects in, I think it's Shiloh, Illinois. He has built projects. He's built 2 big projects in Cape Girardeau. So he's done a number of these projects, yes.
So the 3 here was the Dogwood and 2 hotels?
The 2 hotels, correct.
Bought? Okay.
Yeah.
And then has he ever done anything like this, like a sports complex?
He has not. He has not. He has been involved in a lot of the sports. There's a similar, this is kind of where the idea got started in terms of Cape Girardeau. There's about a 98,000 square foot indoor sports facility. And he has been involved in that, not as an owner. The city actually owns it. And it was clear to us and to him that that's not the right model. It puts a lot of burden on the city when they own it. And I think the best thing that he has done is he's brought in outside expertise to help advise and design this and done a lot of conversations. For an individual who has been a successful business person all his life, yeah, he hasn't ever owned a sports facility, but he's owned a whole bunch of retail, restaurants, hotels, and those are all things that are going to drive the economics of that sports facility, and then let somebody else manage it once it's constructed.
Yeah. So I think that's, I'm from North County. I say that a lot.
I lived in North County.
Yeah. And they did something like this, the Westport ice rink, I remember. And they had gotten a lot of tax abatements and things like that. Because, it was risky, too. And
Right.
it kind of fell through
Yeah.
the project. And I think the city kind of took over.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of worry, especially when you talk about, the bank not
Right.
loaning, how
Well,
risky it is.
right.
So this is something big that even the banks, right, won't loan for that because it's kind of risky. So we're kind of
it's not that
taking the risk,
it's not that the banks won't loan. It's that the banks are requiring a significant amount of equity investment in this. But because of the fact it's a privately owned facility, and the idea it will be constructed with all these supporting. A lot of times, what happens as my experience in these sports, they become standalones. They're out in the middle, and they don't have the supporting infrastructure around them in terms of the hotels, the restaurants, and everything else that then create the total financial package that helps these things be successful. So you're not counting on, in this particular case, the facility in North County, you're not counting on it to be the revenue generator or the profit generator that supports everything else. It's vice versa. So I think that's part of the strength of this particular project, the way it's structured.
Could I also add one thing in response to your question? I believe the Westport, Maryland Heights, that ice center, that was a city facility that was to be operated and funded by use of a private party. They went under. That stuck the city with the facility and the debt. We're not talking about anything like that.
Yeah. We are. Yeah.
I just remember.
Yeah. That's a really good, and that's the lesson we have learned, and I think was communicated very early on by the mayor and others on this project. Is we're not taking on any debt. We're not taking on any obligation with this.
Going back to the risky in the banks.
Yeah.
And you said, they don't want to give it to the sports facility part. Are they not loaning it for?
They're loaning. He's got bank.
So that's part.
Bank relationships on everything else. It's that he is finding that in the terms of the sports facility itself, he is bringing his own capital to that particular project.
But, so the tax abatement part is for everything though, and not just the sports facility?
Sports facility and the hotels is the tax, sports facility and then the 2 hotel projects. The retail center, all the outlots, commercial development, the Frankie Martin Food Truck Park, all that's going to be 100% property tax. Not abated, but paid, they will be paying 100%.
So the only parts, the hotels and the
And-
sports
yes.
complex?
Yes, ma'am.
With the tax abatement?
Yes, ma'am.
I still got more.
Oh, please keep going.
I'll just go through my little notes. But, so, going back to the businesses that we've done before here,
Yeah.
given tax abatements and things, you mentioned Aldi's,
Right.
Citigroup, those kind of, how long are usually you give for those?
The
That was
term,
one-
the
that
term
was
of the
one
chapter.
thing- Yeah,
Term of Chapter 100. We have a policy that when we initiate the discussion, we say our policy is 10 years. We've had circumstances in terms of Cosmos, and then I think Source One Solutions, and Citi and MasterCard will weigh before me, so I don't know the details on those. But we've gone as high as 12 years. So it's negotiable to some extent, and again, it depends upon the need and what they're bringing to the community. And so,
I believe MasterCard was 20.
yeah, I think you're right.
because that was one of the big problems I had with that was the length of these. I mean, what is it, 20-year, 27?
Well, the
right?
CID,
CID was
the
20.
CID and the TDD, by state law, they're eligible for 27 years. Yeah.
Well, and Amanda, the other thing is that where the sports facility sits now is getting basically not a property tax. They're getting basically nothing.
Yeah.
And it's empty land. You put a 160,000 square foot building and you're basically,
And then they'll get nothing for 20 years still.
no, we get 50%.
Oh, 50%. Yeah.
Well,
Let me tell you what, 50% of nothing's what?
they will, but all the additional development it will trigger will pay significant dividends to all those taxing districts. And again, the emergency services will get 100% of those, no matter, whether we give whatever percentage we give for whatever length of time. Those emergency services will receive 100% from day one.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
that was one of my other notes. Though. But what will be affected is schools, you were saying?
No,
The schools are exempt from that also? They will
no,
get
the
money?
schools will participate in the abatement.
Yeah, so they,
But the point I was making is that a 160,000 square foot sports facility does not create any new school children for that school district, right?
oh, okay. But it's still going to affect money that would go to the schools. Okay.
Presently it's getting zero, it will continue to get, in this case, the sports facility, they will get zero, but then everything around it that is paying into the school, will be paying into the school district, will create tens of thousands of dollars of new tax revenues and those things would not happen without this. So without the sports facility itself, the school district gets nothing. With the sports facility, it's going to get tens of thousands of new dollars.
Got that. So, and I'm not against, giving those kind of incentives
these are all
and stuff.
these
so
are all
that's
the
why I
really
was
good
like,
questions. Yeah, I appreciate that. You didn't fall asleep like the rest of them. I say, oh yeah.
I took notes.
There you go.
I think one thing I do have a problem with, that's why I said I'm not against giving, incentives to bring businesses, like ones you mentioned, like Citigroup, Aldi's. These are businesses that, they stand the test of time. Like we have saw that, right?
Right.
So like those kind of, tell me, you're going to bring in a Trader Joe's,
You're right.
and then give some incentives. I'll be like, give them the CIDs, ABC, TDD, whatever, right?
Right.
So, but that was like one worry with this is not something that we know 20 years, that it's going to stand that test of time. So that was one.
I hear what you're saying, and every business is at risk, right? None of us predicted a pandemic, right? But I do think that our show me approach. It's like if the activity is not there and the monies are not you're not receiving any reimbursement for public improvements. We've had a grocery store set empty for 5 years. And through a small community improvement district, we were able to get a 14,000 square foot restaurant and a Harbor Freight. So, and if that restaurant would close in 5 years and Harbor Freight would go away, the improvements that they made with those monies are still there, and we find somebody else to come back into that space. So, it's a highly competitive marketplace, and we try to do the best we can.
Do you find that it's easier to sell, because this is an undeveloped piece of land, right?
Yes.
You talked about
Right.
Harbor Freight and that. I mean, that's a building that's,
Right.
It's hard to probably place in that, so
Right.
you have to give those kind of incentives. Do you think it's harder for that with
No. In fact,
undeveloped land that's just sitting there,
Two things you just meant. Our occupancy rate for retail commercial space is like 96, 97%. So we have demand out there for space. We just don't have the space to accommodate that. The pressure on undeveloped land is from people who want to convert it to residential, especially commercial lands. And so this is, like I said, 10 years we've marketed that space, and we finally found a really good user for it. That's going to do, one, achieve our goal, a strategic plan goal, and two, create commercial activity on commercial space, and three, bring significant economic benefits to the residents of this city. So this is a win-win-win.
Okay, one more thing.
Sure.
CID.
Yes.
And I like how you talk about it goes back into the roads and talk about Bryan Road. I'm like, oh, yeah,
Yes,
you need that.
exactly right.
My one worry with this
Yeah.
is, because what is our current tax rate?
Sales tax rate,
Yeah.
7.95%.
So then it would be added up 1%.
Correct.
My big worry with that, I know you're like, it's 1%, 1%. Well, we just watched, some people, the State of a State address, right? And they were talking about the governor talking about getting rid of our income tax and everything, and how are we going to make it up?
Right.
You talked about sales tax.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
Yeah, I
So
did.
that's my big worry even on that. I mean,
Right.
how much are we going to keep?
But that's
I know now, last few years, everything's become so unaffordable,
But if
So now I'm just
but if
thinking more.
we add one and they add 10, it's not. I mean, so yeah. I mean, we can only control our future as we see it now. Whether they are successful in actually converting our tax structure in this state to something that is going to be painful for a lot of businesses, right? Do they choose to do that or not? Do we have the right to control our immediate future and take advantage of this business opportunity? We can't even know what that future is going to bring. And are they going to be able to do that? And are they going to be able to do that in the next 3 years under this governor? So we'll take another hour and talk about that at another time.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, we can't control it, but I know that they're going to do it, but we have to still be prepared, right? And then if we're going to CID for 27 years with that extra percent, I think it would be felt. No. But that was my last thing.
Well, when we put our Trader Joe's and our Raising Cane's there, you can spend that 1%.
Lisa?
Thank you, Mayor. Patrick, I have a question. There was an article that came out about this development
Yeah.
in the Business Journal.
Yeah.
Did they consult you before?
Yes.
They did?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to read something from
Sure.
this article because I think they got it wrong. They said that the development agreement that would provide the sports facility 20 years of 100% property tax abatement.
we are, as my PowerPoint showed, the sports facility itself, the 160,000 square foot facility, we are offering a 1% or 100% tax abatement for that 20-year period.
Okay.
Yes. So that is correct.
Okay.
But again, as a way to
Everything
then generate 100% sales or property taxes that will be generated on everything else.
Okay, so this land valued at $18.
Yes.
What, so we're getting taxes on that $18 today, or the county is, I guess, or we are. Any idea what we'll get in property taxes from year one on this? Outside of the facility itself?
The developer and his team of support has done some estimates, and I'd like to be able to get back to you. I don't know that right off the top of my head, but I can get back to you on that.
So there was another article written about this, which was in the Mid-Rivers Times.
Yes.
Did they consult you on this?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So do you feel like...
May I just put the caveat?
Yes.
What I say and what they actually write sometimes are two different things, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I just saw some inconsistencies or some things that just didn't add up to me in the Business Journal article, and I just wanted to ask if you felt the same way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that we really need to be careful before we as elected officials are sharing this information as gospel. I think it's irresponsible to do that. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Linda?
Thank you, Mayor. It seems like this conversation has kind of turned specifically into a peace project, so I'm just going to kind of bring this up now. My biggest concern is the sale of Dogwood Social if it goes to Savers.
Yeah.
Fort Zumwalt it's in Fort Zumwalt School District. They're going to lose a lot of tax revenue. And while Dogwood Social is, when they move, they're going to be in Wentzville. So the burden is shifting. Wentzville is going to pick up some tax revenue from sales tax dollars, but Fort Zumwalt is potentially going to lose some sales tax because Savers is not going to generate very much.
Councilwoman, school districts collect property tax, not sales tax. So whoever the user is in that space.
Well, then, okay, so you take the school district out of the equation, but we're gaining, yes, we are gaining sales tax on the new facility, but we're losing sales tax on the old Dogwood Social.
Yes, the operation that is presently in that space now is going to relocate into the new sports complex. That operation on Highway K will be backfilled by a new user. It will still pay the same level of property taxes. There has been never an abate.
I'm not talking about property tax, I'm talking about sales tax.
I just want to make clarification. School district will continue to earn exactly what they did before. There was never any abatement associated with that facility.
No, I get that, and that's where I was mistaken, that I didn't mean sales tax for the school, but we are still, us as a city, we are still going to be losing sales tax revenue because we're not going to be getting sales tax revenue when the place sells to Savers.
Savers is a sales tax generating activity.
They're not going to bring in very much sales tax.
But think of it this way: it's a 2-for-1. We have one Dogwood now. When this all happens, we'll have a Dogwood and a Savers, both sales tax generating activities that will then pay to all the sales tax districts. So while from possibly our perspective, the new user on Highway K is not ideal, but it will be generating sales tax. The new Dogwood will be generating sales tax. So the net change is higher than what we are collecting now. Because we'll have two operations of paying sales tax versus just one now.
We're just going to agree to disagree on that.
I'm happy to do that with you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. I appreciate all the time.
All right, we moved the upcoming Planning and Zoning Commission agenda items to the next week's workshop. David, you're not up. Oh, yeah, moratorium, sorry.
That's me.
So just to let everybody know, we still have closed sessions to get to. So I don't know if you want to push it till next week or we're going to be late for the 7:30 meeting. It's a pleasure to council.
Motion to postpone until next week's workshop.
Second, Wexler.
So you're up twice next week, David. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, I'd like to have a motion to go to closed session, 610-0211, legal action, cause of action, litigation involving public governmental body, and any confidential or privileged communication between a public governmental body or its representative, its attorneys. 610-0212, leasing, purchasing, or sale of real estate, and 610-0212, sealed bids, related documents till the bids are opened, and sealed proposals and related documents or any documents related to negotiated contract until a contract is executed or all proposals are rejected.
So move, Kewen.
Motion by Mr. Kewen, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. Roll call, Conan.
Councilmember Cook. Yes. Councilmember Kewen.
Yes.
Councilmember Costello.
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson.
Yes.
Councilmember Roth.
Yes.
Councilmember Ragsdale. Yes. Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Wexler.
Yes.
We'll be up in the community room at 7 p.m. I'm going to call the January 15th, 2026 O'Fallon City Council meeting to order. Roll call, Bess.
Mayor Hennessy.
Present.
Councilmember Wexler.
Present.
Councilmember Roth.
Present.
Councilmember Boyer.
Present.
Councilmember Thompson.
Present.
Councilmember Costello.
Present.
Councilmember Kewen.
Present.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember Cook. Councilmember Ragsdale.
Present.
If everyone would please stand, if able, for the invocation by Police Chaplain Brandon Buford with Senior Pastor of Lighthouse Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Wexler.
Happy New Year. It's the first I get to see you, so welcome. We've got a full house today, so I'm assuming there's things on the agenda that people are interested in, maybe those that want to talk. And I'm thankful for that opportunity that we have as a government to speak on behalf of what we want. And obviously, I pray often for each one of you for wisdom and guidance because I'm a part of this community and I want it to be blessed. But I like what Paul says in the Word of God. He said in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1, he says, I therefore exhort first off that supplication, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men and all who are in authority, that we may live a quiet and peaceable life. And I think that it is admirable that this city continues to allow us to pray. And I believe that's one of the most important things we can do as we further this city. So if you'd bow your heads, could we pray over this council meeting? Heavenly Father, we thank you, and we're thankful that you've allowed us to be here today. There's a myriad of people that have gathered here, and I know that in their own lives they have needs, and I pray for them. I pray for our community. I pray for our citizens. I pray blessings over them, and that you would hear the needs that they have. God, you are a God that loves and cares, and I pray that you would meet them where they are. And I pray for this great council, our mayor, and this city council that's gathered here today, all those who play a part in continuing the greatness of this city. I pray you give them divine wisdom to make the right choices as they discuss, as they try to see from every angle. Your word says that in the multitude of counselors there's safety. And so I pray that you would let their voices be heard today, and we ask that you would guide us in this meeting. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, folks, before we get started, I was just informed that the applicant for Bill 7798 and 7799 has asked this to be tabled until next Thursday on the 22nd. So I know I have speaker cards here. So just to let you know, the applicant has asked this to be tabled until next week. So again, with that, Mr. Caskelli, do you have something else, sir?
Yes, sir. Bill number 7815, I would like to be removed for consideration.
Okay.
Bill regarding annexation.
Mr. O'Keefe, can we remove it now, or do we have to wait till it gets to the...
It would be on, the motion would be to amend the agenda by removing Bill 7815, I believe.
Okay. That's what he's saying.
My motion is to amend the agenda by removing Bill 7815.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Ragsdale.
Mr. Ragsdale. Questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So we're removing it, and it's just, we're just never going to... Oh, then,
Going away.
for that.
Yep. Going to get removed, and no action will be taken on it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I would encourage city staff and this council to work with the properties for infill to be considered for annexation.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda?
Cascella?
Motion by Cascella, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Questions or comments? Ma'am? Ma'am? Give us time. Are we still allowed to? Give us time. Motion by Cascella, second by Councilman Roth to approve the amended agenda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. First on the presiding officer's report is discussion from the Show Me Institute, David Stokes. Mr. Stokes, if you would give us your name and address for the record, please.
Sure, and I have my speaker's card. I'll leave this here or give this to whoever you would like.
And just hand it to me then. Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I have a PowerPoint. I'm not going to use it very much. I'm just going to top to a few parts of it. So I was invited here to talk today for, I guess, 10 minutes about the general concept of tax subsidies and tax incentives. And I'm not relating it entirely to the two proposals I've heard about, one for the tax abatements for the youth sports center or the new economic development tax, sales tax. I want to speak a little more generally, but I am going to at times speak specific to those proposals. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. So I'm going to start with a quote from the Post-Dispatch, and I take from an O'Fallon city official, and so I assume it's accurate, talking about, in this case, the abatements for the youth sports facility. The quote is, "The agreement increases tax breaks and new tax districts to," quote, "help the developer break even on the project," end quote. I assume the quote is accurate. So I've read a lot of city charters in my life, in county charters, and I've read the O'Fallon city charter. I popped it up today. And I've never seen one that says that it's the job of local government to, quote, help make local businesses break even on a deal. That's not the job of government, to help private businesses make a larger profit. If you want to do that by taking general taxes and have a better police force or better roads, go by all means. That benefits everybody. But if you believe in taking tax dollars from one person and giving it to another private business to help them make more money, I would wonder what your limiting factor is on the role of government. Like, what can't government do?
in that case. So that's just the quote I wanted to start with. The other thing I want to emphasize before I get into some details about why economic development subsidies are generally just somewhere between unnecessary and harmful, and they're both of those things, is that this is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this is the fastest growing city in the state of Missouri. I believe it's soon to be, if not already, the 6th largest city in the state of Missouri. It's probably already the 6th or 7th. You'll soon, if you're not already there, have 100,000 people, which is great. You know, it's a successful, growing, prosperous community. It is the last place in the state of Missouri that needs tax subsidies to help it grow. If you were looking around and say, all the success, all the growth here over decades, and the idea that you need to expand the use of tax subsidies to help that continue, frankly, I think it's just preposterous. It flies, in fact, right against everything we've seen. So let's talk a little specifically about why tax incentives and tax subsidies don't work. And I'm going to get very specific, and I'll try to be as concise as I can to get all done in time. Here's just a couple quotes. One that I use these all the time. If anybody wants direct citations on this, I'm happy to email those to you. You can Google Dave Stokes subsidies, and the testimonies I've given dozens of times will come up. They're all right here. So I love this start. Who needs oil wells when a state or city can be another Kuwait just by increasing the budget of their economic development agency? I mean, and the craziness is there are politicians who talk, and I'm not meaning you all, I'm talking all around the country, who talk like the subsidies. I heard somebody in Liberty in Clay County say the most insane comments about how their TIF led to all the growth in the city. All of it. He meant all of it. One little TIF. It just gets to a level of insanity. And there's a wonderful study by 2 economists, Peter Fisher, Alan Peters, quoted all the time. And we get to that here. The best case, and then these are economists studying this issue nationwide as to the benefit of tax subsidies. And their conclusion, and by the way, there are economists who are even stronger than this and think there is no benefit to them ever. This is as moderate as it gets. The best case is that incentives work about 10% of the time and are simply a waste of money the other 90%. Public officials will often attribute all new employment and thereby growth to incentives. And I've heard public officials, in my 20 years of doing policy work, I've heard people say that more times than I can even imagine. So you get to, and let me assure you, the fastest growing city in the state of Missouri is not one of the 10%. Right there, okay? It's definitely not. I don't know what is, probably a place with genuine poverty. It's not O'Fallon, Missouri. So why does growth through incentives fail? So let's just call that. And again, I think you've got about 4 or 5 Chapter 100 abatement projects in the city, and you're considering this new one for a youth sports complex. You have a dozen or so SIDs and TDDs, maybe a few more. You don't have any TIFs in O'Fallon. I think we can credit the wonderful law that gives TIF authority to St. Charles County and not the cities in this county for that. So, and that should be expanded, in my opinion, to all tax abatements. But let's get why do they fail? Because in reading about this and reading the articles and reading the views of supporters of both these subsidies, and they're the same arguments you've heard all over, it's like, well, we'll give the subsidy now, but we'll make more in the future. We're not making very much money from this land now, so we're not giving up much, and we'll get a lot in the future. And it sounds enticing, and I get it. It really does. Here, we'll get to those later there. So why is it unnecessary? First, it's just a bird in the hand flaw. I'm not talking about these quotes right now on there. I just advanced it. There's a bird in the hand problem to tax subsidies. There's the idea that we gave a subsidy. A development was built. Thereby, we created this in government. But that's the bird you see in the hand. Yet we have hundreds of years of economic growth in America. That's like, you didn't see the 2 in the bush. You didn't see what would have happened if you had, what has happened for most of O'Fallon's growth, if you didn't give that tax subsidy. In Clayton, they had an empty lot on a valuable piece of property at Hanley and Clayton Road. And it sat vacant for a while, and people kept asking for subsidies. And Clayton said no, because they knew the 2 in the bush would eventually come, and it eventually did, with a great development of that lot without any subsidies. And that's what you'll get in O'Fallon throughout your community. You don't need to do this. And so I'll give the Centene example. In Centene, they pit the city of St. Louis and Clayton against each other 15 or so years ago. Clayton gave them a bunch of subsidies. This is why it's unnecessary in the most. Clayton gave them a bunch of subsidies. Then there was leadership changes at Centene Corporation. They decided they didn't want to do the things that they'd promised Clayton, and Clayton was like, well, you won't get the subsidies then. And Centene was like, yeah, we don't care. We don't really need them. That's fine. We don't want them. Because it's not necessary for the vast majority of economic decisions for businesses. So what's another reason? Because you talk like the youth sports facility, the hotels. Sure, in 20 years when they might be paying full freight, full taxes, it might be very successful. But you hear that over and over for so many businesses. And let me tell you, some of them fail during that meantime. Some of them move. Some of them, when that end of the subsidies comes up, they demand new subsidies. So you never really get them paying the full bait. Some of them, and this is what Ballpark Village did, for all the promises of that, sure, we're going to subsidize Ballpark Village now, but in the future, they'll be paying full freight. Except that they drove out of business the bars and restaurants that were serving the Cardinal fans already. And now you got 20 years of Ballpark Village not paying full taxes, but the Shannons and the other restaurants downtown that were, they're closed because they can't compete against unsubsidized. Just 3 minutes. Wow. All right, I better pick it up. All right. So another reason. This is so true, and this is what you'll see throughout the region. Businesses chase the subsidies. So a study out of Illinois found that cities that don't use TIF, and by extension other subsidies, they actually do better economically than cities that do. And the reason is because when you're throwing subsidies out, businesses start making choices and decisions based on getting the subsidy. They don't make the decision based on where's the best location or that, they'll chase that subsidy. So that's the result of that Illinois study, that it's harmful because it negatively impacts the decisions of how businesses should locate and operate in the first place. Probably got about 2 minutes here, so I'm going to tighten this down further. I guess the final 2 points is that let's say you're making this argument that this youth sports complex and these hotels, in 20 years when they're paying all the taxes, that'll be great. We'll have won. O'Fallon will have won. The reason that's not going to work is because it is almost certain that in the ensuing 20 years, you will approve many, many other subsidies and many other tax abatements. So you'd be like that's what the city of St. Louis has done. Everything's been subsidized for 40 years. If subsidies worked, the city of St. Louis would be Kuwait. They would be rich as could be. But you pass one, you passed a few, you're going to pass more and more because it becomes common. You're going to be like the dog chasing its tail, like constantly wondering on when you're going to catch it. Yet all this time, while you're waiting for everything to get paying full taxes, you've hurt your school districts. You've hurt the county, the fire districts, the things that depend entirely on property taxes. And look, O'Fallon has a property tax. I give you credit for that. Some cities try to get by without it. So you're giving up a little bit at least. But that's another reason why it fails. And finally, since I probably have about 10 seconds, what does it really come down to? And I won't even get to the rest of the stuff on the board. That's fine. If you believe that tax incentives and tax subsidies are going to help grow the economy successfully, you really have to believe that you all and your economic development officials think that you can predict the future, that you know that the right way, we're going to take money from these people and give it to this business, but not that business, because we know that in the future, we can predict this is a good investment with tax dollars, and that's not. Well, I think we all know how absurd that is, because you cannot predict the future, and tax incentives and tax subsidies don't lead to growth. It's a race to the bottom. It hollows out your tax base as you give certain benefits to chosen favored businesses and have higher taxes on everybody else who doesn't get the special deal. And you're right at about 10 minutes, probably even a few seconds over. So I appreciate the time, Mr. Mayor, and everybody else on the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Appreciate it, sir. Amanda?
I just wanted to say thank you for coming out today and speaking on this. When I asked you, we were ready to jump right in. One thing that sparked me, I've been reading a lot of your stuff, and I like, I have a science background, so I like how you come at it with real data. I'm like, let's come with the data. I want to see it, So that was one reason I really appreciate what you said. One thing that really stuck out with me when I asked you to come out was because you wrote an article about St. Charles County and their budget deficit. and you're attributed a lot to tax abatements and things like that.
Well, I think it was primarily, was it St. Louis County?
St. Louis County, yeah. What did I say, St. Charles?
Right.
Oh, okay, St. Louis County.
Oh, we're in St. Charles.
Yeah. And I got some advice from an elected official that's been out here for a long, long time. And they said one of the things that, we have the privilege of out here in St. Charles County is to look at St. Louis and repeat the things that they've done right, but also avoid the things that they've done wrong. So that was one of the things, you say we can't predict the future, and that's one of the things we see in St. Charles County, that they have this budget deficit, correct? And you think they could have avoided that if they didn't have so many tax abatements.
Well, they could have certainly avoided a hefty part of it, absolutely. And the fact is that, I'll allow a summary statement that I didn't get to in the original one, thanks to your question and comment, council member. The tax base should be as broad as possible, whether it's your sales tax rate or your property tax. It should be as broad as possible so that you can fund the necessary functions of government with as low a rate as possible for everybody, not higher rates for most people or businesses and lower rates for the ones you pick to be lower or nothing at all. You broaden it as wide as you can so it can be as low as possible for everybody. Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Here, I'll just...
Next is, we have Scott Drachnick. Scott? If you would give us your name and address for the record, please.
Got to give you my address. Arnie's in the room. If I give my address, I'm in trouble.
Mid-River Small Drive.
Okay, very good. We can do that one. So, folks, first off, Happy New Year. And as I say to all elected officials whenever I have the chance to meet with them, appreciate your public service. I know how difficult it is. And with a packed room of folks tonight, it's an example of you're going to hear lots of things and you're going to potentially hear lots of emotions. I'm Scott Drachnick with the St. Charles County Economic Development Council. I am a resident of Lake St. Louis, but our office for the company is on 5988 Mid-Rivers Mall Drive in St. Peters. And I've had the privilege to serve at the EDC. I'm now starting my 18th year, and originally started my career back in the Ronald Reagan era with the city of St. Peters. So I've seen quite a few changes along the way. So I appreciate what David had to say. Where's David? David, thank you so much. I've read some of your stuff. Appreciate your work with the Great Rivers Habitat Alliance and the ways that we have interacted over the last few years. One thing that I want to say initially is I'd like to tell you something that you might not believe. It is true. It is controversial, but don't hear what I'm not saying. And let me make sure I get the correct way to do this. I hate incentives. I'm the economic development lead person for all of St. Charles County, CEO, the one-stop shop. I hate incentives. I've had to answer the question 3 or 4 times just this week, several times during my vacation when I was celebrating my 41st wedding anniversary just the other week. I hate incentives, but don't hear what I'm not saying. I also hate road construction. I hate root canal. I hate paying taxes. I hate standing in line. I hate cleaning the cat box every day. There's a lot of things that I hate. But that doesn't negate the fact that they're real, that sometimes they're necessary, even if I don't like them, and even if they're not popular. So let me quote, looking at something from the Show Me Institute, again, having read some of their information, I appreciate David being here to speak. About a year ago, they released a study saying that of the $233 million of economic incentives used by the state through their various programs, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. In their mind, nothing really good, I'm paraphrasing, happened, and everything that was going on was a waste of time. $233 million. The economic development incentives aren't worth it, and they have habitually been trumpeting that for lots of times. And I appreciate him being here tonight to say that. Well, interestingly enough, in the report that they quoted from the state, the tax audit about those incentives, over 52% of the $233 million were incentives returned to the businesses who paid them only after they certified they had created the promised new jobs in the report. Now, as a conservative voter and conservatives who are in the room, I thought we liked giving taxes back to the people who paid them so they could use them best. 52% of the incentives and taxes used in the report cited by the Show Me Institute went back to the businesses who paid them. How were those taxes used? Job creation, real job creation. Because in the Missouri Works and the Missouri Quality Jobs Act, you don't get the money until a year after the new job is created, and you can certify that that's somebody new. And the state can check the payroll tax records. They were used for historic preservation. They were used for neighborhood stabilization. They were used for public infrastructure improvements. And they were used for other things such as the Boys and Girls Club, Catholic Charities, the Foster Care Coalition, and other ways to fight crime, poverty, and sex trafficking. That's what those numbers were used for. But maybe we don't care about those things. You tell me. Now, incentives are a tool. Like any tool, they can be used in a good way. They can be used in a bad way. That's true about my car. It's true about a computer. It's true about government, which is a tool given to us by God. It's true about incentives. Here are some reasons when to consider, when, not always, when to consider using incentives. Will there be net new job creation? Not just the promise, but net new, verifiable, measurable job creation. Will there be infrastructure improvements that are not being funded some other way that are important? Will this help strengthen the tax base for everybody, all of the taxing jurisdictions? What are the market conditions? We're about to face almost 1 million square foot of available space vacant along the Highway 40 corridor, some of it in O'Fallon, that was great 20 years ago, but nobody wants it now. Despite our growth, despite you being the second largest city in Metro St. Louis. Site challenges like blight, or areas that have serious issues that cannot be solved unless special money can be poured into it. And in the case of potentially tonight or the other nights as you talk about it, fulfilling a specific community vision that's been called for by leadership and by your strategic plan, like the idea of additional sports and recreation, health and wellness in the community. Who wants to pay sticker price? I bet none of us, nobody in this room wants to pay full price for anything, myself included. We don't want to pay sticker price. We don't want to pay sticker price. We want to get a good deal. We want to look for a savings. We want to find a club to join. We want to clip the coupons. We want to find a way to get a deal to buy a car. We want the same thing when we buy our house. We want to book a hotel to the best price we can get. We want to get airline tickets that are the best affordable option that we can pursue and maybe get some miles. We want a tax refund. We don't mind a stimulus check. And we want it when we're planning a vacation. We all want it. For our homes, for our cars, for our kids, for their school costs. And businesses are the same way. We're all looking for a deal. Somebody else should just pay for it. I hear that all the time. Not just from businesses, I hear it from residents. I hear it from people starting new companies. I'm going to start this new company. Surely there's some free money. I saw a commercial somewhere that told me there's a grant out there for me. We want somebody else to pay for the roads. We want somebody else to pay for the schools. We want somebody else to pay for public safety. We want somebody else to pay for my college tuition or my college loan. We want somebody else to pay for public assistance. We want somebody else to pay for health insurance. And the list goes on and on and on. Somebody else should pay for it. Well, I think my friend David Stokes would agree as I bring out a quote from Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes from about 1927. The reality is that taxes are the price we pay for civilization, for civilized society. And in the state of Missouri, as in other states, you have been vested with the authority for tax oversight in this community. And the state of Missouri has put in place statutory powers that you, under the right circumstances, can use, such as Chapter 100 tax abatement, Community Improvement District, Transportation Development District, and, I mentioned the third rail of St. Charles County, the lawsuits we fought all the way up to the Supreme Court twice and won, as we were dealing with the Great Rivers Habitat Alliance, tax increment financing. My good friend, my former boss, somebody I voted for, somebody I support, recently published a big blog about the dangers of TIF. He's right. And we're not using them. We haven't been using them. We even had the state set up special rules so we couldn't use them compared to the rest of the state. Anybody asks me about TIF, we don't use it in St. Charles County. Other opportunities are potentially there, but there has to be a cost-benefit analysis that involves improvement, jobs, public good, things that can't otherwise be funded. At the EDC, working with you all as partners, Mike Snowden on our board, the mayor, Patrick McKeon and his team from Economic Development and others, we are trying to pursue the triple win. I told you I started my career with St. Peter's in community development, then I've been in economic development. The county executive put me in charge of workforce development for 5 years, and I helped lead the statewide team for workforce development. So I have a good handle on development and issues in the area. And I see it as a three-legged stool. It's business, it's residents, and it's government. And we're trying to find a way to deal with these competing needs where businesses need to make a profit because that's why they exist. We want our residents to make good wages and have upward mobility to pursue the American dream to their ability and interest, and we also need to collect those taxes to provide the public services that this crowd definitely wants and others who aren't here tonight. We are trusting you with the common good, but I keep in mind, if you do some historic research, with the Highway Funding Act from the 50s to the 70s, the federal government paid 90% of things. Their money came from us and businesses and others. And if a road needed to be built to help a development, the feds did it, and maybe we put in 10%. Then it switched. It was 80-20 with the state when I started with St. Peter's. It's now 80% us, 20 the feds and everybody else. Burdens have shifted from federal government to state government, now down to you. And that's where partnerships have to be created if you want the roads that you want, the schools that you want, the improvements that you want, and the things that you would like to have to make O'Fallon continue to be one of the best places to live in America. With that said, I hope I've kept my time to your minimum.
Right at 10, buddy.
But I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate Amanda helping make this all possible tonight.
Thank you. Amanda?
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I asked, you all out because I'm pretty much against kind of giving these companies, kind of against corporate welfare type of things. But you were pretty good up there trying to sell it to me.
I'm trying to give you the truth.
One question I had was, I mean, you were talking about all the benefit, for tax abatements and
benefits that we need to look at as you just consider whether you're going to use incentives or not.
And reasons to bring it and want to, new jobs, right? Create one of the reasons, create new jobs or, but pretty much I'm looking at it like, well, that's all businesses kind of, we create new jobs. So why don't we give these tax incentives to every business that comes in? What are some of the reasons you wouldn't give it?
So, for instance, when Amazon announced the H2Q project and put every community, every elected official against itself in the United States, when I looked at it and anybody asked my opinion, which happens very little, not only here but at home, I said we shouldn't go for it. I have consistently on projects working with the cities, whatever it is, things that have come, things that have not come, said, what is your red line? We do not want to sell the farm, but there may be times when we have to somehow get that improvement paid for that won't be paid for some other way. And so the interesting thing on a panel that I was with Patrick and I believe others about incentives, the question was, what incentives do you put in place? How do you figure it out? And my answer was different than pretty much everybody else, even though we all complimented each other. And I said what you all have done. The community, the leaders who are in charge of tax policy, must have an incentive policy ahead of time. We don't wait for a business to come and then we're all scrambling and Patrick and Mike and the mayor trying to call special meetings and notices and closed sessions and all of that stuff. Have a policy ahead of time. O'Fallon was the first to do it. We were able to convince St. Peter's. Then eventually Wentzville did it. The most recent one was Weldon Spring. Cottleville is now working on its policy. Have a policy that you want, not that I want. I'm here as a contractor to serve your needs. You don't want any incentives, then you just tell me that, and that's what we will communicate. But you've put a policy in place, and you're following it, that you, with your team, your staff, professional team and staff, along with probably the likes of Gilmore and Bell, are going to put it through a cost-benefit analysis, try to figure this out. None of this is set up to give profit money straight to businesses. It is to generate jobs. It is to pay for improvements. And I'll even tip it a little further. I worked previously on one of the largest TIFs in the area, even though it's not out here. I cut my teeth helping revamp the valley after the flood. We had one of the largest TIFs at that time. It was to go on for more than 20 years. We paid it off in 7 years, and it was all for public infrastructure. So these things can be done right. They have been done right. I've seen them done right by O'Fallon and others, and I see them in use throughout the area for jobs, for public improvements, for infrastructure that is not funded any other way, and none of us want to pay for it unless we can somehow share the burden. So I appreciate the question.
One other thing I wanted to ask. You were talking about, reinvesting and everything. One of the things about the tax abatements, it does cut the amount of money that schools will receive and a lot of other services. And I know one argument that some have made, well, the property's just sitting there, right? Not really making a lot of money. But I mean, tomorrow somebody else could come. You never know, right? I mean, it could sit there like David was saying, wait and something great can come. I just wanted to ask your opinion. Do you think the O'Fallon taxpayers should wait 20 years, to start receiving these benefits?
I don't know which specific project you're talking about.
Do you know the project where?
I do not.
Oh,
I know just the general ideas. I haven't delved into it.
For a sports complex.
And sports tourism is one of the things that our organization, through a strategic plan, is pursuing, and I'm pleased to see it come to town. The reason being, how many folks have kids in sports? Anybody have kids in sports? They say that a parent with a child in sports spends at least $1,000 per student per sport. Does that sound about right? And he's saying higher. Youth sports, adult recreation, non-professional, generates over $50 billion a year. Do you know how much the NFL with the Super Bowl generates? One big Super Bowl, and we love it, and it's $1 million for 30 seconds and more? About $5 billion. We need to, as a region, figure out a way to capture that, because these folks and my kids and others want recreation, want sports, and we don't have the ability for it, not simply for O'Fallon kids, but to bring in kids from Illinois, from Iowa, from Arkansas, for big tourism, for big conferences, for championship, stuff that we can be proud of. Whether they should wait 20 years, I don't know. But I work every week with the superintendents of St. Charles County, and I have seen them sign off on different projects. It would be up to them to take a look at whatever you put together, cost-benefit analysis, to figure it out.
And I think you're right. I mean, I'm excited for a sports complex and all that you're talking about, the generation, all the money that it can generate.
I understand there has to be like some major road improvements that the city doesn't have funding to take care of, like 3 or 4 interchange. Yes.
But
Are
my
you willing to
question,
put that in the budget,
going to be
Amanda?
so successful, then they should be taking the risk. I just don't think that we should put this risk on our taxpayers.
How are we putting it on our taxpayers?
By taking that potential away that could be generating them money for our city, our
I mean, are
schools
we
from
sending
day
a
one.
bill to the residents to pay for that? Or you're adding it on their tax bill on the personal property or real estate for the city?
No, but they're losing, right?
How are they
This is-
losing? They are benefiting.
Because the potential that it could bring in.
And this is part of that one potential that you get to decide
Part
whether
of that
this
one
is the
potential in 20 years. Yes,
or in
great.
20 months, whatever you want. You get to make that decision. That's why we're electing you all to represent us. We really are. And so whatever decision you decide, I support it. Whatever city decision you make, that's fine with me.
That it? Anybody else? Linda?
I'm just going to be real quick. So Scott and Dave both, I've been honored enough to know you both for more years than I can count in some cases, but thank you so much for coming out and the wealth of information you shared with us. I think we all needed to hear that tonight. So
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Last time I spoke at a public meeting, I was almost lynched in St. Charles, so it's good to have
There's
a
not very
warmer
much that I'm
welcome.
willing to throw at you. You know, I want to keep my phone, so I'm not going to throw my phone at you.
It is a pleasure to serve the city of O'Fallon to whatever capacity. If there's anything the EDC can do, or me personally, please let me know.
Scott, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Brings us to citizens' comments. This is a reminder, we have a 3-minute time limit. Mr. Dienoff.
Well, where to start tonight? Happy New Year to everybody. My name is Arnie C.A.C. Dienoff, running for O'Fallon City Council and the city's public advocate. First of all, our County Economic Development Director, Executive Director that you just heard from, his meetings or boards are not open to the public and in violation of our state law and the Open Meetings Act when our taxpayers go to pay his salary and his staff's salary in that big old glorious castle on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive in Cottleville. The first 2 bills are tabled. You'll hear from me next week on those. That's bad choice of conditional use permits. Bill number 7809 is a development agreement. Boy, you're going to hear from me in a moment about that. We're giving over $200 million of tax giveaways, corporate welfare, and country club folk on our taxpayer dime and costing us tens of millions of dollars. Bill number 7813, another community improvement district, which these people don't understand for the sports park. You're going to tax them another 1% sales tax. In addition, I came from Jefferson City this week. We're going to get rid of our income tax, and it's going to be 25 to 30 cents on each dollar for sales tax. In addition, this April, the fire protection districts, the county ambulance district is going to have 1% taxes apiece. And then you want another 1% community improvement district. I ask you defeat bill number 7813. Bill number 7814 is another community development district for the same guy who bought a hotel already existing on the backs of taxpayers, another 1%. Now you're taking our sales tax potentially to over 37 cents on every dollar, or 37% if the state legislation goes through. Number 12 on the agenda, reconsideration of Resolution 1218, Ella's Place subdivision. It's been 7 years of hell. Nothing developed, and because of the political favors and political connections with the mayor, the relationship with the former state rep, now you're reconsidering because Mr. Cascella wants to do a solid, wants to do a favor to a politician. And whoever negotiated this 30-page document was pathetic, fluff, frou-frou presentation that I watched at the workshop. Who wrote and negotiated this agreement? Was it Patrick McKeevan, who lives in Edwardsville, Illinois, and is our economic development director? It's pure greed while making huge profits while the taxpayers pay for Patel from southern Missouri's building and assets while it's being heavily taxed with special districts. Look at Johnson County,
You have 10
Kansas,
seconds, sir.
with the sports park. It's shocking and dismayed that we have all these taxes, sales tax exemptions, tax abatements, industrial revenue bonds,
Dienoff,
very low
Mr.
interest.
Mr. Dienoff, your time is up, sir. Mis- All right.
Thank you. Wake up, citizens. Don't
Our
be
next-
elected officials tossing you to death.
Our next speaker, these are bill for 7815, which is for the annexation. It is being withdrawn, so I'm gonna if you want to speak, I'm gonna let you speak. But it is being withdrawn. There will be no action on it whatsoever. So it is being withdrawn. It is not going to be on the ballot whatsoever. So, William Carrier.
William Carrier, 4310 Diana Lane, Wentzville. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members.
I appreciate the opportunity to still speak on 7815 on annexation, basically because annexation seems to be an inherent part of the DNA of the city of O'Fallon. And so let's talk about annexation a little bit. Specifically on this one, why these 6? Why these 6 properties? Of the dozens and dozens and dozens of unincorporated voids within the city limits of O'Fallon, why these 6? You know, you use words like for the overall good of the city of O'Fallon and stuff like that. Let's cut through that. Let's get to some detail. Is it because these properties somehow connect critical infrastructure within the city and allow that to expand? I don't know. Hasn't been discussed. Is it because we want to collect additional tax revenue? Okay, but let's see some details. Usually with the annexations, we see a financial analysis. One of the things that I think is really cool about O'Fallon's approach to annexation is you do a financial analysis. Now, most of the time you ignore it, but you still do it. And it would be good to see what this annexation brings in terms of tax revenue versus infrastructure costs. I've attended many council meetings, both here in the city and St. Charles County, and have been lectured at length by officials about this concept of property owners' rights and how important it is to protect property owners' rights. Well, when you pursue an involuntary annexation, where's the protection of property owners' rights? Because basically what you're saying is, shut up, property owner, we know what's best, and we're going to do it. While areas 1 through 4 are infill annexation, areas 5 and 6 clearly are not, and are the same expansive, grow the boundary of O'Fallon type of annexation that has been going on for decades. It's important to note that areas 5 and 6 obtain their contiguity, their contact with the current O'Fallon city limits through the Harvest and the Post Family Farms properties, which they themselves have questionable contiguity and could be, in the future sometime, subject to legal challenge as they don't meet the requirements of State Statute 71014. And so I end where I begin. Why? Is this truly for the benefit of the residents of the city of O'Fallon, or is this just another knee-jerk annexation because we want to be bigger? Thank you all.
Thank you. Don Koch. K-O-C-H.
Coming back next week.
Rozook.
I haven't seen you guys since last year. Couple things. I have talked with multiple landowners, and they are all against the annexation, involuntary. And something when I was looking at the agendas, this was actually read for the first time in 2025 and December the 18th by Steve Cascella. There's differences on the agendas when I pull it up. One said this is a second reading, which is what it says today. Another one, if you look at the packet 47815, it says it's the first reading. I do know that the ones that I have talked to, which is, I think, Don Koch for General Motors, Hilltop Nursery, Home Nursery, a couple other ones that I couldn't get to, are all against the annexation. They were not notified of the January 15th, I'm sorry, the first one, December 18th. But they were told about this one. So if it wasn't pulled off the table tonight, you would have been voting on it. And they'd had no information. They're all confused. They want to know what's going on, how this is going to benefit them if they're asked to be voluntarily versus involuntarily. So, and I'm speaking for the people that I did talk to, the landowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny Blackshear. Jeff Van Buren?
Good evening. I was just going to say what that lady just said. I work for Home Nursery. We're lot number 3 under the annex plan that got tabled. And we were so confused, we didn't know what in the world to do. So we never got notice on the first hearing, and then we heard this was the second hearing. So I was just passing along that same information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Helen Proctor, 2. Okay. All right. The rest of these are on the scooters and Dobbs. As you heard, this is being tabled at the request of the applicant. So I'm going to call your name. If you want to speak, I'm going to let you speak. If not, you know, it will be on the January 22nd City Council meeting. I'm going to butcher it. Mr. Cascella.
Mayor, just to confirm, if they speak tonight, will they still be able to speak at the following meeting on the same topic?
Yes. You live at 401 Bournley Drive. Sadeed? Mac Pasham?
Good evening, everybody. And I spoke last time also, but today I thought it's going to be voting, and then we want to express our opinions again. There are many people today, and many people left also. We strongly oppose both the establishments. That's, I think you already know about it. Last time also we spoke about it. So the reason is that these establishments are going to affect us safety of the community and the pollution, noise pollution and sound pollution. And it's going to be affecting our wealth and also health. You know, the health is also going to be affected. So the wealth part, you know, once these two establishments are there, are you know, completed or voted for it, then almost 600 households are going to be affected. So the property values will go down and the pollution will go down. Pollution will be more in that area. It's a nice area, decent area. If anybody came and look at the subdivision, it's going to be one of the best subdivisions that I have seen and have chosen and purchased a home there. And so that is one of the reasons, like, you know, and the second would be, I have a suggestion. Like I lived in Alpharetta, Georgia, where we have an establishment called Avalon, which has got a theater, a playground, all that, you know, the high value the homes and all. It's a very nice city. I've seen it from ground to the city, mini city. It's grown. And it has increased the values of everything. It has improved the lives, and it has also, you know, provided a lot of employment opportunity to the locals. So I prefer that kind of establishment because we already have a theater there. We already have a playground. We already have a bank there. So the rest of the area is developed in that fashion. Then it is going to be a revenue boosting for the city, and also it's good for the homeowners, for the safety and security and everything. So I just want you to consider and, you know, vote against it, and then so that we don't get those establishments, because it's not going to serve the city. It's not going to be, because it's not going to be win-win situation for the city, even the landowner or the residents. So if you go for that kind of Avalon kind of, you know, development, it's going to be win-win-win for all of us. It's going to be win for the residents, win for the city in the revenue wise, and also win for the landowner, the builder, and who can, you know, really look into that angle. So that is the One is I want to oppose it, and one is I just want to suggest what could be the best for that area.
Okay, your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Pearl?
I'm Steve Pearl of Caledonia Streets. I live at 606 Highland Prairie Drive. I want to thank this gentleman for bringing up Avalon. I lived around Avalon as well. It is an outstanding mixed-use development that helped revitalize their original downtown as well. The two bills I'm talking about are the 77, 98, and 99. I know they're tabled till next week, so I'll give you the short version of my presentation. I respectfully ask the council to evaluate both CUPs through the lens of the zoning code, the purpose of the C2 district, and the long-term character of this community. The C2 General Business District has a very clear purpose: to allow general retail and services uses while protecting adjacent areas from incompatible uses and lessening congestion on public streets. The question before you is not whether these businesses are reputable or whether their services are needed somewhere in the city. The question is whether these specific uses at this specific location meet the legal standards for a conditional use permit. Based on the zoning code, the CUP criteria, and the site context, both projects introduce impacts of traffic, noise, lighting, and visual dominance that are incompatible with the surrounding residential and conservation environment. Residents are not asking the city to block commercial development. We're asking the city to ensure development at this sensitive gateway that aligns with the purpose of the C2 district, protects adjacent areas, and preserves the long-term character and value of our community. So for these reasons, we respectfully request the council deny both CUPs next week. Thank you for your time and your service to the city.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening.
Tom Hickman?
Hi, my name's Tom Hickman, and I had some prepared remarks for tonight. With this layover, I'm going to kind of defer those until next week. You have to find out if they're necessary. But I just wanted to express some gratitude for the engagement out of our Ward 3 council member, Steve Cascella, for conversations he's had with us. And with that, I'll yield my time and come back next week if necessary.
Thanks, sir. Zach Summers? Les Pirtle?
Thank you, Mayor. This won't take long. My wife, Pam, and I moved to O'Fallon 37 years ago. And it didn't take long for us to realize that this was a great place to live. Nice people, nice parks, fun events like the 4th of July parade and the celebration of lights, but with a feeling of a small town, and I think we all agree on that. We also came to know that the leadership in O'Fallon, you all and who all came before you, usually went along with what the residents wanted, as long as it wasn't unreasonable and if it made sense. So please don't make our quiet, well-kept neighborhood include a noisy 10-bay tire shop that hardly fits in aesthetically, and as well a drive-through coffee shop sitting, as proposed, just a stone's throw from our homes and just feet from where our children play. Thank you.
Thank you. Eugene Dorr?
Hello, I'm Eugene Dorr, live at 852 Upland Loop. I
before the meeting, I handed out, that's the paperwork that you all have there. After talking to Mr. O'Keefe earlier this week, that's kind of my formal submission to the board for you guys to consider what's in there. Specifically, that I believe both of these cups are coming procedurally incorrectly before the city council currently, and section 400, 300 of our code actually. And that's why they have to come before the city council, gives a negative inference already to these businesses, right? They have to overcome a certain burden to be, and that's why you guys have to vote on it. They don't get just to automatically come in. So they're automatically, per ordinance, given a negative inference that they are not good for the community. And then just one other point I'd like to bring up, just because we've been talking and we had the two speakers earlier about, community improvement districts and using taxes and whatnot. The area that we are talking about is actually part of the Caledonia Community Improvement District. This council already gave the developer in this area in 2020, this area, so they could raise taxes to develop this area. And I think that at least some of you probably agree with our last speaker in that, we're going to use those taxes in a targeted manner to get the types of businesses that we want. So that's what the community is asking for here. Let's get the types of businesses that actually fit well into this area. I don't think I'm speaking out of line for anybody here when I say we want them to be successful. We want them to be wildly successful. That's good for all of us. Well, let's do it with the right businesses. Thank you.
Jen Dowling.
Hi, I'm Jen Dowling. I live at 111 Downview Drive in the streets of O'Fallon. And just to kind of piggyback some of the comments that some of my other neighbors have made, the issue with these businesses are not with the businesses themselves, but with the conditional use of behind them. I don't care what business model they're using. A drive-through exists for the sole purpose of getting customers in and out. It is get in, give us your money, get your chicken nugget, your dog treat, whatever it is that you came from. It's my pleasure, and buy. It is high volume businesses. That's what they're there for. I would love nothing more than to stick my kids on the bus on my work from home days and walk 40 feet. That's where this land is. It is 40 feet from our neighbor's backyard. It is not one lot. It is not one business. It is 6 total lots that are less than 40 feet from our homes. That's what we're talking about. And so simple logic, if you put a drive-through business 40 feet from multi-million-dollar homes in a residential area with kids, that is not good economic development. The streets of Caledonia and Shady Creek are O'Fallon's highest priced residential real estate. Just my side of the neighborhood, which our neighborhood is divided by Highway Double D, has about 68 homes. There is $50 million worth of residential development that is already built. Our side of the neighborhood is complete. The other side of the street towards the pool, they are still building homes. That side is double the size of what we are. The city has a vested interest to ensure that property values remain high to attract high-income residents to spend money in these commercial developments. I am all for economic development and economic growth to generate tax revenue, but it should not come at the expense of the residents' safety or the children's safety. That is our home. We already live there. Our houses are built. But building a drive-through at the entrance of our neighborhood is like building a Dollar General in front of a Saks Fifth Avenue. Not either business is bad. They just don't belong together. And so putting a drive-through and an access road where kids get on a bus in the dark in the morning is just not good economic development. In addition, there is additional commercial land available within the streets of Caledonia development that is further just right up the street beyond the First Community Bank and all up on Highway 64. That land is not directly in front of our homes, but yet those businesses would have access to 600 residents to generate tax revenue. We would love to see certain businesses. I'd love to see a Trader Joe's there. I would love to see a coffee shop there.
You have 15 seconds.
So the bottom line is the commercial area is in the front end of our neighborhood. It was poorly planned and improperly zoned from its inception.
along with a deadly roundabout that is nothing good has come from it. Nothing has been built yet. I ask for your vote, whether it's tonight, a week from now, a month from now, whenever this decides to get done, we are asking for you to vote no.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Janelle Biscoff?
Hi, I'm Janelle Bischoff. I live on Burnley Drive in Streets of Caledonia. I'm a resident of Streets of Caledonia. I strongly urge you to vote no. I've emailed all of you. I've talked to many of you on the phone. I am passionate about this, so I do have a lot to say. Our neighborhood is split in two with this commercial plot being right in the middle. These businesses will be at the entrance and will be the first thing you see. I'm one of 68 homes on the same side of the street as these proposed businesses. I used the assessor's website and computed that my neighbors and I have paid over $50 million for these 68 homes. The average home price is $737,000. High intensity and high volume businesses do not belong mere feet from homes. The drive-through business is set to be only 34 feet curb to curb from a home. Several council members have told me that this should have been C1. O'Fallon deems C2 restricted business district. St. Charles, St. Peter's, Wentzville, they all call it neighborhood business district when it's C1. Ours is so restricted that on the comprehensive plan, it's hard to find it being used at all in the city, despite it being the second largest city around with almost 100,000 residents. P&Z wrote these properties should not cause substantial injury to property values. They should not dominate the immediate neighborhood. But these findings didn't involve an outside company. How was it determined there would be no diminution to our property values? How could a 10-bay Dobbs not dominate the neighborhood? The 2021, or when I reviewed the 2021 comprehensive plan, I see that, quote, there's an opportunity, it mentioned our neighborhood, and it says there's an opportunity for additional neighborhood scale retail. This area has the potential to support smaller scale commercial development, catering to both residents of the area and those that might want smaller office spaces. To me, Dobbs and Scooters and C2 zoning doesn't go in line with the original intent for the Winghaven corridor. Would you want a drive-through business 34 feet from your home, cars lining up at 5:30 and interrupting the enjoyment of your home? Would you want to share the only road you use to go in and out of your neighborhood with coffee customers and having to listen to loud, noisy automotive repairs starting at 7 a.m. 6 days a week? I could go on and on about the noise and pollution and disruptive nature of a Dobbs and drive-through, but I think you can imagine the implications. I talked to Justin Wagner at MoDOT. He said this is a very strange road with DD in the roundabout and that their top engineers had to review it and determine that no right out would be allowed despite the request by the city. This should tell us something. He also said no future enhancements are planned for this road. DD is already a hazard. What if my street's blocked for emergency or fire personnel? According to MoDOT, over 11,000 people already use this
You have
road per day.
15 seconds.
Who's protecting our home value? The landowner is, according to the news article yesterday, he's the biggest, largest private landowner in the entire country of America. I'm urging you to listen to us residents and vote no. The developer has other options and we do not.
Mr. John Cole?
Good evening, Mayor Hennessy, City Council members. I'm John Cole, and I live on 308 Castleford Boulevard. I'm here tonight in opposition to the proposed conditional use permit for Dobbs Tire and Auto at 708 Caledonia Drive. I believe this permit should not be approved for two reasons. First, I believe the proposed auto repair operation will disturb the peace of our subdivision. Second, I believe these auto repair operations will have a clear negative impact on the homes immediately surrounding the proposed location. The subdivision surrounding the proposed Dobbs location is a family neighborhood. In the summer, residents go out for walks with their children and pets. It's a neighborhood with lots of young families who chose to build their homes in O'Fallon, believing it would be a good place to raise their kids. The proposed Dobbs location, a 10-bay auto repair shop at the doorstep of our subdivision, would be a significant downgrade to the quality and livability of our subdivision. Unfortunately, There are no natural sound barriers between the noise of the proposed auto repair operation and our residential subdivision. Beginning at 7 a.m., 6 days a week, the noise of the proposed Dobbs would destroy the quiet that's currently in our neighborhood. Because of this reality, I strongly believe the location of an auto repair operation so close to our subdivision will have a clear negative impact on the value of our homes. In short, adding a Dobbs Tire and Auto operation in this location is incompatible with our existing residential neighborhood. For these reasons, I respectfully request that you vote against the proposed conditional use permit for Dobbs Tire and Auto. I'm also here tonight in opposition to the proposed conditional use permit for a Scooter Coffee location at 130 Dalriada. During the public comment period on this proposal in the November City Council meeting, I described the current challenges faced by a driver on Castle Ford Boulevard turning left onto Dalriada to leave our subdivision. The recently approved private access road that runs behind the proposed scooters creates a new four-way intersection at the point that Castle Ford intersects Dalriada. Unfortunately, this new intersection is not situated in a way that will support the high volume of traffic that will be created by a Scooter's Coffee drive-through during morning rush hour.
You have 15 seconds.
In light of the increased safety risks that would be created by high-volume business at this location, I also respectfully request that you vote against the proposed conditional use permit for Scooter Coffee. Thank you.
Zach Wright? Kenneth Jensen?
Ken Jensen, 403 Burnley Drive. Good evening, everyone. According to O'Fallon, the City of O'Fallon Zoning Code, Chapter 400, Article 7, conditional uses are those considered essentially desirable, necessary, or convenient to the community. I'm not sure how a Dobbs, which would be the sixth one within, I think, a 5-mile radius, or another drive-through coffee shop are considered necessary, desirable, or convenient for the neighborhood. In addition, there was over 7,300 pedestrian deaths last year when it came to automotive vehicles. That's over 20 a day. As my neighbors have talked about, this is 40 feet from backyards, right near kids' bus stops, and you all have the power to not let this go through and to not let this developer use this conditional use permit. Our safety of our children, the safety of those who are walking their pets, those who are going out on a run, with 200 more vehicles coming through the scooters each and every single day, it provides a safety risk, and then it also provides a risk to our property values. Studies have been done for both tire centers as well as drive-through coffee shops. There's about a 10% reduction in property values when those go in. The city has a duty to protect its residents. It has a duty to protect its taxpayers, its citizens, for both safety as well as their financial and tax burdens that we pay for this city. So we're here to implore and ask you, please consider this. Please consider all of my neighbors. We've been here in November. We sat here for 3 hours. We're here again for another 2 hours. We'll keep coming and coming and coming until we have a resolution on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no other citizen sheets. Ward reports, Ward 1.
Yes, Mayor, thanks. I don't got a whole lot to say about Ward 1 right tonight. I do want to throw out congratulations to Veritas Christian Academy. Their varsity boys won a state championship in Division I soccer this past month or so. I'm going to try to get them up here in front of the council so we can acknowledge them and everything. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Wexler.
Yep, same thing. Congratulations, Veritas. And I just want to thank all the residents for coming out and speaking your minds. That's what government's all about, and I love it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 2.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Mr. Boyer.
Thank you. Thank you again for everyone that came out to talk. It's awesome to hear you guys participating in the government and being out here and teaching us about all the taxes and all of that, and then feeling your passion about where you live. So that's what makes O'Fallon great. On a happier note, March 11th is the senior fair. So if you have older people, they're going to have a fair on the 11th. So put that on your calendar. I think that's all I got.
Thank you. Ward 3, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. Like everybody else, thank you guys for coming out and speaking your opinions and your concerns with the council. I appreciate the meeting that we were able to have, peaceful organization of a group of residents to talk their concerns. This job is not easy. It's tough to make decisions that are for the better good of the entire community. And having the concerns of the residents shared with us really helps form our opinions. With that said, these are still tough decisions that we have to make, and we have to look out for everyone that's involved. With that, I have nothing else.
Ward 4.
I had a lot to say I wanted to say in the award report, but man, it's 9:10 and we're just getting award reports. But I think the most important, I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to our city employees for keeping O'Fallon running smoothly throughout this holiday season. While many were able to spend time, most of us spend time at home resting, celebrating with family and friends, our city, it never pauses. And it's our dedicated employees who ensure that the essential services continue without interruption. And my ward, over the holidays, we experienced an elevator failure in one of our senior living communities. And our police department responded to that call of service. They assessed the situation and coordinated with even an elevator repair company, went above and beyond to ensure our residents were safe and supported. So I just wanted to thank you, Chief, and all of our officers for your professionalism and compassion in that. We also had an issue on Fisey Forest neighborhood where a portion of the roadway developed a noticeable dip and cracking, kind of sunken in, creating a very dangerous, potentially dangerous situation. And our streets department responded immediately, evaluated the problem, and began addressing it without delay. So I would like to give a special thank you, Mr. Drabell and the streets team for that. Your hard work and commitment to public safety did not go unnoticed and are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I just wanted to say Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for coming out and have a good evening.
Mr. Kuhn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, next month is Valentine's Day, and I know there's probably a few out there who are saying to yourself, what can we do for Valentine's Day that will be special? I have a recommendation. It is Big Electronics Recycling Day that day from 8 a.m. till noon up at T.R. Hughes Ballpark. So if you got some big old electronics that your significant other has been asking you to get rid of, you can do it for Valentine's Day. You're welcome.
That it, sir? Ward 5.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing tonight.
Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share, University of Missouri Extension Council voting will start tomorrow for spots on the council. There are 9 candidates for 6 different spots. Voting goes from January 16th through the 31st, and you can go to extension.missouri.edu, and as long as you live in St. Charles County, you can vote. Also, the University of Missouri Extension Council is doing a project that's very dear, close to my heart, a Christmas card signing for soldiers that are deployed. So they have some upcoming open times if you're available. Wednesday, the 21st from 1:30 to 3:30, and they are on Brown Road in St. Peters, or Saturday, January 31st from 2:30 to 4:30. If you have any questions or if you'd like to attend one of those, you can call the Extension Council at 636-970-3000. And that's all I have. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. City Administrator's report, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you, Mayor. In the interest of time, I'll forego most of my report, except to say I'd like to wish a happy upcoming birthday to Councilmember Roth. That's all I have, sir.
Thanks, sir. Brings to Bill 7798, as mentioned in the, before the meeting started, that the applicant has requested this to be tabled. So do I have a motion to table 7798?
Motion to table, Costello.
Second, McEwen.
Motion by Cascola, second by McEwen. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Again, Bill 7799, the applicant has asked this to be tabled. Do I have a motion?
Motion to table Bill 7799, Costello.
Second, McEwen.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to Bill 7809. Do I have a motion to amend Bill 7809 by deleting Exhibit A and attaching new Exhibit A1 before the second reading? Do I have a motion?
McEwen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn. Do I have a second?
Cook.
Second by Councilwoman Cook. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings to Bill 7809.1. Motion for second reading.
McEwen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn. Second.
Costello.
Second by Cascola. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7809.1, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving a development agreement and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the proposed development of a sports facility in the city of O'Fallon.
Motion for final passage.
McEwen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn. Second.
Costello.
Second by Cascola. Questions or comments? Mr. Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mayor. I really struggle with this one because I really do love the idea of the sports complex coming, but the tax incentives are a little bit of a pit in my stomach. And I'm very disappointed with Dogwood Social moving to this new complex and the potential buyer of the old Dogwood location. I just, the business that's potentially moving in there, they do not generate much sales tax. And I feel like our city is going to lose out. And honestly, what I mentioned in the workshop is, yes, I realize that Dogwood Social is moving. That's just shifting the sales tax from one O'Fallon location to another. And we should be gaining a location that has sales tax revenue. And I just really feel passionate that this is not going to do it. So I'm still, I know that we're about to vote, but I'm still on the fence because this is not my favorite ordinance.
Okay. Any other thing? Ms. Taylor.
I agree, if you're not surprised, very much too for the Dogwood Social becoming a Savers. I mean, I felt like that was just kind of left us, you know, you're going to get this brand new shiny place and have all these tax abatements, and then we're left with this Savers on K that's just going to get us hardly anything. And, you know, as much as y'all tried, I mean, y'all pushed it today, right? The workshop, we had a whole thing about how great these tax incentives are. We had a guy come out and talk about how great they are, but there's a reason people are not for all this. I mean, giving the millionaire developers just all these tax breaks is just, I don't think, beneficial for our city. So, yeah, I'm very much opposed to this one. So, thanks.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Any other questions? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
Jesus freaking Christ. A bunch of fucking idiots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 4 no. 7809 fails. Mr. Dienoff? I will have you removed, sir. We're having a meeting. Keep it down, sir. Brings us to Bill 7810. Since this was tabled at the workshop, are we keeping this on the table? 7810 stays on the table. Brings us to Bill 7811. Motion for second reading.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7811, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance providing for the rezoning of a certain tract of land located in the on the south side of Mexico Road between Old Knaust Road and Knaust Road, owned by the Philip J. Effrig family property trust. Wow. All right. From CO Office District to R2 Two-Family Residential District.
Motion final passage.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman
Roth.
Wexler, second by Councilman Roth. Questions? Cast your vote. Ms. Taylor?
The voting's closed.
8 yes, 1 no. 7811 passes and becomes ordinance number
7267.
7267. Thank you, Bess. Brings Bill 7812. Motion for second reading.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7812, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance granting a conditional use permit to the owners of Harmony Homes to allow a senior living community in a CO office district under certain conditions on a certain tract of land located on the south side of Mexico Road between Old Knaust Road and Knaust Road within the city of O'Fallon, Missouri.
Motion final passage.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Questions? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. 7812 passes and becomes ordinance number
7268.
7268. Thank you, Bess. Brings us to bit 7813. Do I have a motion to amend to adopt one version listed in the meeting packet before the second reading?
Ewan.
Costello.
Councilman Kuhn, second by Costello.
When we conclude new business.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings Bill 7813.1. Motion for second reading.
Ewan.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. All in favor? Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7813.1, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving a petition to establish the Playfield Commons Community Improvement District pursuant to sections 67.1401 to 67.1571 of the revised statutes of Missouri, creating the Playfield Commons Community Improvement District as a political subdivision, directing the city clerk of the city of O'Fallon to report the creation of the Community Improvement District to the Missouri Department of Economic Development, approving a cooperation agreement, and authorizing certain other actions.
Motion final passage.
Ewan.
Motion Kuhn, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. Questions? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
6 yes. 3 no. 7813.1 passed becomes ordinance number
7269.
7269. Thank you, Bess. Which brings 7814. I'm laying this one over prior to the second reading. Next is public hearing to consider making certain tract of land findings with respect to areas appropriate for annexation. I'm going to open the public hearing. I think we've already heard those folks. Come on, Mr. Dinoff. We'll give you 3 minutes.
My question is you can have it on the agenda for next week or next month?
No, sir, it's getting pulled.
Pulled totally?
Pulled totally.
but I'd like to have some comments.
Sure, why not?
Thank you very much, members of the City Council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, running for City Council and City Public Advocate. The way that we sneakily handled this annexation of 6 parcels is totally bizarre in my opinion. I can agree with some annexation that makes common sense, that has common growth, that has smart growth. But the way that this city has handled annexation and its plan of intent is beyond my rationale. I visited with the owners of GMC, Buick, O'Fallon. They came into the county council unincorporated from the get-go. Their tax bill is going to increase $15,000 to $20,000 in addition to sales tax of the parts because our tax levy is much more than unincorporated county. They purposely moved from South Carolina to build in O'Fallon, and they purposely wanted to remain in unincorporated St. Charles County and just went through an expansion of their building before the county council and the county planning and zoning commission. You left them out of the loop. You left U-Haul out of the loop. You left the other 4 parcels out of the loop, didn't talk to the owners, and of course you sneakily went there when there's no registered voters on the property, no one lives on the property, and you thought you were going to just run it right through and right down people's throats. These annexations and the way that we conduct intergovernmental relations is bizarre. It's from here to Jefferson City, and all my friends in the House of Representatives and the state Senate laugh at O'Fallon and the way that you conduct business and the way that you do in intergovernmental relations. These issues should have been debated, discussed, talked about before the City Council in a workshop way before making it to the agenda. It seems like this City Council has secret after secret after secret, closed meeting after closed meeting after closed meeting in violation of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 610, talking about land negotiations, meeting with your attorney, wanting to buy, wanting to annex this property and that property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You have 30 seconds.
The timeline of these events were illegal. They would have been challenged in county circuit court. I know some of the parcel owners have hired attorneys to represent them if this goes any further, and I think you need to bring all parties to the table. I'm glad that somebody had the smarts to yank this from the agenda. Thank you.
Bill,
Lisa?
can I just make a quick comment? So what we were going to vote on tonight was putting these involuntary annexations onto the ballot.
Correct.
For the voters to vote.
Correct.
Correct? So
Correct.
there was no consequence that was going to be decided on tonight.
Correct. It was just going to be the vote of this council to put it on the April ballot.
To put it to the vote of the people.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to clarify.
Did we remove this from at the beginning?
Yeah, the 7850? Yes, sir.
We removed it. All right. So no action on 7815.
Mayor, did you want to close this public hearing?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Okay.
Brings us to Bill 7816. Motion for second reading.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7816, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance authorizing the city of O'Fallon to enter into an updated Public Works mutual aid agreement for the coordination of emergency and disaster response services with area participating municipalities.
Thank you. Most final passage.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. Questions or comments? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. 7816 passed, becomes ordinance number
7270.
7270. Thank you, Bess. Brings us to Resolution 1218-2025M. Do I have a motion to reconsider Resolution 1218-2025M?
Yes, motion Cascella.
Motion by Cascella, second.
Ewan.
Second by Councilman Kuhn. Questions or comments? Mr. Kuhn?
Yeah, I was a no last time. I've since talked to Ms. Schneider regarding this piece of property, and she assures me that everything is in order and that it will happen rather quickly, and that all of the neighbors at this point are actually satisfied with her new plan. Therefore, I'm going to vote in favor of this.
And if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Ragsdale recused herself. She needs to tell me when she does that, when she's recusing herself. She just can't walk away. So, thank you. Bess, Linda Ragsdale has recused herself from this. Mr. Cascella.
Thank you, Mayor. It was at the end of the meeting last month that I decided that I wanted to reconsider this and had said something to the city clerk and to the mayor immediately after the mayor granted the petitioner an option to explain what had happened. This being held up by a lawsuit that held them from developing and moving the development forward was unknown to me when I cast my no vote. I can't in good faith vote no on a project that passed through planning and zoning and council and then turn around and vote no. I thought I was giving voting no to an extension because of the developer not having the goodwill to get it done. But to know that it was in a lawsuit that they were awarded in favor or was judged in their favor, I couldn't live with that vote. So that's why I've requested to reconsider.
Okay. Anybody else? Debbie?
Thank you, Mayor. As I said last time, this has been going on for a very long time. I have emails that I still have on my phone that go all the way back to 2018. There has been issues with code enforcement where the property wasn't taken care of, trash on the property. And then in our pack, I mean, we discussed that there was a lawsuit before we voted, so we did know there was a lawsuit. But in our packet at the last meeting, there is information in our packet dated December 20th of 24. So we're talking, over a year ago, and it is a letter from OFallon to Ms. Schneider that says, Ms. Schneider, it is our understanding that litigation is complete, and you are now preparing again to move forward with the above project. This is dated December of 2024. So she had all of 25 to do something. Stick a shovel in the ground, move some dirt. She didn't do anything. And this has been going on since 2018. It's an old plan. It needs to come back up to the planning and zoning. We've had residents move out of there over this whole situation. So we did know the litigation was there. We did know the litigation was over with, and she had a year to still do something, and she still chose to wait until it was at the end to come back to the city council. So again, I will be a no. This has been going on way too long. We wouldn't do this for anybody else. And the fact that it was in our packet from the city saying litigation is complete, you're moving forward, is in our packet. So thank you.
Anybody else? There is a representative here from Ms. Schneider if you want to hear if you have any questions for him. Ms. Taylor.
I had a question because that's what I do remember from last time. I voted no because I remember them saying how long ago the lawsuit was. But also another reason I voted no then was what was the expiration date? Because that's one big reason I was like, we had already passed the expiration date. The 13th, and we had voted on afterwards. So that's where I think, that's an exception. I would feel like, yeah, we should, if you already had a year to break ground or whatever, and then you expired and then come in to try to redo it, that was my reasoning for a vote no, and I'm still, nothing's really changed, I think, so. Yeah.
Okay. Lisa?
Can we hear from the representative, please?
Brian?
And specifically, if you want to question, it would be sort of what Councilwoman Taylor just said, like, why was no work done in the past year?
So to fill in some of the misinformation that Alderwoman Cook just said.
Brian, give us your name and address for the record.
Brian Kaufman, P.O. Box 1671, O'Fallon, Missouri. The plan is not old. It's been revised over the last year. That is why Vicky has not started this development yet. We've been in constant contact, going back and forth with Wade and his good staff, Bob Copeland and everybody. So these plans are up to date. Vicky's made some revisions. She's no longer boring MG Road, bringing the sewer from Elk Ridge and disturbing those residents. She's hooking onto the lift station within Mary Ridge. And that's what has been, that's the holdup over this whole last year, is that it takes a lot of time to get their approval, to get comments back to the engineer on Vicky's side, to get those remedied back to them, to get their approval. We're there now. So you're not getting an extension on an old, outdated plan. You're getting she's asking for an extension on something that is revised, up to date to the current codes. And you can verify that with engineering.
Hold on. Lisa, you still have the floor.
Well, I think I would just ask why was this brought to us in the 11th hour?
Because we don't have final approval, is that correct, Wade? We still don't have final approval on the engineering on connecting to the lift station. So Vicky actually had till January. The expiration date is January. There's a December expiration date on the start, and then how does that work again, David? It's a January expiration date, right?
No, I think the letter from Wade did say it was just, I don't have the date in front of me, but I thought it was the construction. This is a construction plan expiration, and there was a specific date in that letter.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was January. I could look it up. Wade, did you know the?
Yeah, per the information that is provided in the packet, when it was extended in December of 2024, the new expiration date was December 13th of 2025. So we do not have a revised set of plans. They have been talking to us about revising the sewer location. That conversation, and I know they've had some meetings with our sewer and water department, but to this point, we do not have a revised set of plans.
Right, Cochran's still working on the final revision on that.
Okay. Lisa, you still have the floor. Debbie?
Thank you, Mayor. So we're hearing we have a revised set of plans. We don't have a revised set of plans from our city staff, which means, which is it? And then if it's not revised, it's still an old plan. And if it is revised, I feel like it needs to go back through planning and zoning and let it get reapproved, because evidently it's not a plan that has been seen by the Commission of Planning and Zoning.
I don't understand your inner workings here.
David?
So.
Yeah, one thing on the plan, there's really nothing left for planning and zoning to look at or review or approve. The record plat has been approved. These lots exist. It's not a planning and zoning issue. This is unique. The record plat has been recorded. It's been done. That's been over a year ago. This is a construction plan issue, and that's not a planning and zoning action. And that's what it is with that.
Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
Amanda?
So, I mean, you talk about you've been in constant contact over the year. I mean, my big issue is this was already expired. You know, I wouldn't give, and even if I was for it, I mean, we have rules. And what was the reason that you all waited till afterwards?
Nobody waited at all. We've been working with the city. We were hoping that this would have been remedied way before the expiration date. However, it takes time, you know. I can't...
Well, I'm asking, like, what reasons did it come to us after the expiration date?
Because we assumed that it would be ready, that the revisions going back and forth between Vicky's engineer and the city of O'Fallon would have been taken care of already. But it didn't. These things just take time.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do Do I have a motion and a second to approve?
Costello.
Motion by Costello, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Council members, cast your vote.
This is on the motion to reconsider.
I thought we already had a motion to reconsider.
We have the motion, but I don't believe we voted on the motion to reconsider.
I thought it was all in favor. Did we have a vote on the motion to reconsider?
I apologize. Okay, excuse me.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-3, motion passes. Questions or comments on committee and commission reports?
I have a question. Does it pass? It doesn't need 6?
No, resolutions only need a simple majority.
Okay. It's still good.
Any questions or comments on committee and commission? Seeing none, we stand as read. Questions or comments on the consent calendar?
Motion to approve, Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. Council members, cast your vote. Yes, ma'am.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. The consent calendar's been approved. Brings us to new business. Public comment to consider granting a conditional use permit to the owners of Postal Capital to allow equipment rental in a C2 PUD General Business District Unit Plan Unit Development under certain conditions on a certain tract of land located at 1120 Technology Drive within the city of O'Fallon, Missouri. Someone here to present this to us?
Evening, everybody. My name is Adam Stone. Address I'm going to provide is 12060 Lusher Road, Spanish Lake, St. Louis. I'm here representing U-Haul's interest, partnering with this young lady here with some equipment rental at her address of 1120 Technology Drive. We met with Planning and Zoning last Thursday, came up with some provisions on the size of equipment and the amount of equipment available.
I'm just laughing at your daughter back there.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
I apologize.
No, she's back there just waving. That's fine. I needed a laugh tonight. So, and this is you. All you're doing is the vans.
The cargo vans.
It's just the cargo vans.
It's the small cargo vans, correct.
And it's not the extended ones. It's just
Nope,
the regular.
just the
cargo.
regular size cargo vans, correct.
All right. Questions? If you would step aside, this public comment. Mr. Dienoff.
Thank you very much, members of council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, City Public Advocate. You know, I'm not sure exactly how this conditional use permit and a simple 3 vans to promote our economic development and get retail locations filled, which is a kind of up and down plaza in terms of the small areas down on that area. I know that there's a marijuana shop that put in a lot of capital improvement, and because of the configuration and how to get to that plaza, they went out of business a few months ago. So we have another empty building. These two entrepreneurs, these two women, are putting their life stake and their reputation at stake to live the American dream and to build a retail location of a postal store to offer services to the growing residential community down there. Our city staff made these ladies and the representative from U-Haul jump through hoops. They wanted to mandate and tell them where they could park 3 simple little cargo vans, not even box trucks, not moving trucks, nothing obtrusive, nothing offensive, nothing that's derogatory to the community or to the neighborhood. This is a commercial retail establishment. It's a commercial plaza with restaurants, with retail slots and availability. To the ladies and to the U-Haul representative, I apologize that city staff and our leadership treated you in this fashion and mandated to the owners of the plaza and to you as applicants and you leasing the vans to the business, telling you where you could put your vans. This is America. Private property owner rights, and these ladies and the U-Haul representative can choose for themselves, and they have their own brains and their own intelligence of where to park their vehicles in an appropriate spot. It's not for government to intrude in their private business and to try to hamper our economic development. We send a bad message to people who want to come to do business with O'Fallon, and I apologize to you ladies, and I apologize to U-Haul. It should never happen again under my watch or any leadership with this city. This is a simple conditional use permit. They should be given their permit and on their way. This is really economic development. I wish them the best of luck. They're going to generate sales tax, and I ask a unanimous vote of the city council either tonight or a week from tonight, next Thursday. Thank you.
All right, we have no other speakers. Adam, you got anything else to say?
No, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. Brings Bill 7818, motion for first reading.
Boyer.
Motion by Councilman Boyer, second.
Thompson.
Second by Councilman Thompson. Councilman Boyer, please present the bill.
Bill number 7818, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit to the owners of Postal Capital to allow equipment rental in a C2 PUD General Business District Plan Unit development under certain conditions on a certain tract of land located at 1120 Technology Drive within the city of O'Fallon, Missouri.
Thank you. Next is United Public Hearing and public comment for rezoning of certain tract of land located and granted conditional use permit for property located at 507 Sondern Street, Stevenson's Place. The applicant has requested this item be tabled until the January 26, 2026 meeting. So we're going to continue the public hearing.
If anybody wants to be heard.
Does anybody want to be heard? Because if you speak now, you're not speaking next week.
Tell me where that rule is written.
Where what rule?
What you said. If you speak now, you can't speak next month. I don't know any.
I believe that was on in a public hearing. Is that correct?
I believe it's
It's in a public hearing?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's from my city attorney.
Did he say I couldn't hear him?
He's right.
That is from our city attorney.
What is the ruling?
You have one opportunity to be heard.
I'll wait till January.
Good. We'll continue the public hearing. Do I have a motion and second to the table, 7819?
Wexler.
Question? Or, Wexler? Second?
Second.
Roth.
Taylor.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The motion table 7820.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings to Bill 7821. Motion for first reading.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second. Do I have a second?
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. Councilman Kewen, please present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 7821, an ordinance providing for the approval and acceptance of the dedication of certain right-of-way and approval and acceptance for maintenance of certain street, traffic signal, and storm sewer improvements by the city of O'Fallon, Missouri, along a portion of Bryan Road in the vicinity of Cora Marie Drive.
Thank you. And brings Bill 7822. Motion for first reading.
Cascella.
Motion by Cascella, second.
Boyer.
Second by Councilman Boyer. Councilman Cascella, please present the bill.
Oh, I didn't think that through with losing my voice. Bill number 7822, an ordinance of the city of O'Fallon, Missouri for an economic development sales tax of 3/8 of 1% and directing the submission of a ballot proposition to the qualified voters of the city at the general municipal election to be held on April 7th, 2026.
Thank you. Brings Bill 7823. Motion for first reading.
Roth.
Motion by Councilman Roth, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. Councilman Roth, please present the bill.
Bill number 7823, an ordinance approving the record plot of the replot of Lot 2 of Meadowwood Estates subdivision, authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plot.
Thank you. Motion second for second reading.
Roth.
Motion by Councilman Roth, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7823, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving the record plat of the replat of Lot 2 of Meadowwood Estates subdivision and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Thank you. Motion final passage.
Roth.
Motion by Councilman Roth, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. Questions? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. 7823 passed, becomes ordinance number
7271.
7271. Thank you, Bess. Next bill 7824.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Mr. Wexler, please present the bill.
Bill 7824, an ordinance approving the record plat of Villages of Argonne subdivision and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Thank you. Motion for second reading.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7824, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving the record plat of Villages of Aragon subdivision and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Motion for final passage.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Questions or comments? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
8 yes, 1 no. 7824 passed, becomes ordinance number
7272.
7272. Thank you, Bess. Next bill 7825, motion for second reading, first reading.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Councilman Wexler, please present the bill.
Bill's number 7825, an ordinance approving the record plat of Strawberry Farms subdivision and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Motion for second reading.
Wexler.
Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7825, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving the record plat of Strawberry Farms subdivision and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Thank you. Most final passage.
Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Questions? Cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. 7825 passed, becomes ordinance number
7273.
7273. Thank you, Bess. Questions or comments on 115-2026D? Motion to introduce. Kewen, second.
Roth.
Taylor.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Resolution 115-2026D, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Charles E. Jarrell Contracting, providing for HVAC contract services.
Motion second to approve.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Taylor.
Second by Councilman Taylor. Council members, please cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Resolution D has been approved. Questions or comments on Resolution E? Seeing none, motion second to introduce.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Resolution 115-2026E, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Thuvin Wade and Morrison, Inc., providing for supplemental engineering design services as part of the Main Street Phase 3 project in an amount not to exceed $10,855.28.
Motion second to approve.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Roth.
Second by Councilman Roth. Council members, please cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Resolution E has been approved. Questions or comments on Resolution F? Motion second to introduce.
Kewen.
Cascella.
Motion by Kewen, second by Cascella. All in favor? Aye. Mr. O'Keefe.
Resolution 115-2026F, a resolution opposing Missouri legislative proposals to eliminate the traditional April municipal election and move municipal elections to the November general election date.
Motion second to approve.
Ewan.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. Council members, cast your vote.
The voting's closed.
8 yes, 1 no. Resolution F has been approved. No further business. We are adjourned.